News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon, KSL News Time, 12 o'clock noon, and this is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos, KSL's top local story. As the Monroe Canyon fire continues to grow, the community will be meeting tonight to get answers and lean on each other. We begin our team coverage, Utah Fire Watch, with KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera. Eric?
Maria, today outside Tony's Bakery in Monroe, the view isn't sweet, it's smoky. Owner Christine Diamond says the fire's emotional toll is starting to hit home.
I can see it right there. It is awful. The ashes are coming down like snow. One of the coworkers that work here, she had 2 small cabins. They're gone.
The bakery has stayed open to serve firefighters and neighbors despite the high anxiety. But relief could come tonight as fire officials host a community meeting in Richfield. Alyssa Archuleta with the Complex Incident Management Team says it's about keeping people informed and supported.
We just want to make sure that people, feel heard, that we're answering questions. They can put faces to, the people actually out there on the ground.
The meeting starts at 7:30 at Snow College's Richfield campus. So far, the fire has burned more than 36,000 acres and is only 11% contained. Live, Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
Fire crews are still on the edge of their seats as today marks the 6th straight day of dangerous fire conditions with a red flag warning for parts of central and southern Utah. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson continues our team coverage, Utah Fire Watch.
It's not the news firefighters want to hear, but the heat and the wind, they're going to stick around.
So if a new fire sparks, it's going to take off fast. For current fires that are already burning, it's going to fan those things with extra oxygen.
KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson says he expects we'll have another set of red flag warnings tomorrow, and the problems aren't just in southern Utah. Fire danger is high here in the northern half of the state as well.
We're witnessing, in Salt Lake City at least, I think 4th or 5th driest summer so far, with only 3 days at the airport receiving measurable rainfall in the month of June and July.
As for the smoke in the air, Matt says the southwest winds should keep the Wasatch Valleys mostly smoke-free, but that could change with just a slight wind shift. Randall Jepson, KSL News Radio.
For all the information and our latest coverage on Utah Fire Watch, head to kslnewsradio.com. The search for a man accused of sexual assault at the University of Utah is over after Salt Lake City police found and detained the suspect. A release from police says that the suspect was found last night. He was accused of assaulting a woman riding a university shuttle bus. KSL's top national stories. It may prove to be a long shot, but Senate Democrats are taking it, trying to compel the release of the Epstein files. ABC's Stephen Portnoy has more.
It's a little-known, rarely invoked legal right held by 2 congressional committees, one each in the House and Senate. First enacted in 1928, the law says on the demand of 5 members of what is now the Senate Homeland Security Committee, an executive agency must turn over any information requested of it. Democrats are now making that request for the Epstein files, and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says the Justice Department must comply.
If not, there's recourse in the courts. This is the law.
Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
Other national stories we are following. While Friday, August 1st is the day when President Trump's new tariff rates go into effect for dozens of countries, the White House says talks with China over trade are ongoing.
President Trump will get briefed today by Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer, who were in Sweden this week meeting with senior Chinese officials for trade talks. Bessent said the talks were very constructive and will continue to determine whether the current trade truce with China, set to expire on August 12th, will be extended. President Trump in mid-May lowered tariffs on Chinese goods from 145% to the current 30%. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Breaking news, the Federal Reserve is leaving interest rates where they are. Fed Chair Jerome Powell has been coming under fire recently from President Trump for not being more aggressive with cutting interest rates. But Powell has maintained that future uncertainty with tariff policies and inflation are keeping the Fed in a wait-and-see mode. We'll talk to senior economist at Zions Bank, Robert Spendlove, coming up at 12:45. The sale of DNA information held by the bankrupt genealogy company 23andMe has Utah officials issuing an alert to consumers. KSL News Radio's Heather Kelly has more.
A joint press release from the Utah Attorney General and Utah Department of Commerce lets people know they have the right to have their DNA samples destroyed. Also, a data breach happened in 2023, and anyone affected by it could be entitled to a piece of a $305 million fund for those who make a claim.
The press release also states if 23andMe safeguards consumers' data, the sale will not be contested. New details are being revealed on Utah's lawsuit against Snapchat. The lawsuit aims to show how addicting and dangerous the platform can be for children. Executive Director of Utah's Department of Commerce, Margaret Bussey, tells KSL TV that Utah teenagers check the app more than 70 times a day, and an AI chatbot on the app can give inappropriate commentary.
Ideas that you would be shocked at. You know, why don't you make sexual comments to your math teacher, to a junior high kid? I mean, that's just not appropriate in any realm. And
Snapchat responded saying the safety of its users is their highest priority. We'll hear more from Bussey coming up at 12:15. First look traffic. What's going on? Is it Ricky today?
It's Verl again,
Hi,
and other
Verl.
than our typical slowdowns on southbound I-15 in the Kaysville Ponds Park area due to lane restrictions, it's a nice drive on Utah's major freeways. I'm Verl Johansson in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time, 12:06.
Hi, this is Doug Wright in the Wright household. We have been anxiously awaiting Footloose at Hale Center Theater. Utahns have a great relationship with the classic movie, and now the chance to see it at Hale Center Theater on stage. The energy and the performances just off the charts. Dialed to 11. There are supporting roles from a vintage VW Bug that I loved, and even a 70s era well-used Chevy pickup. You will love Footloose. And boy, I forgot how many hits are part of this great story. The live element, too, to the music is something that I always love. And by the way, when Ariel's dad, the good Reverend Moore, comes around on the dance, it is perfect. Footloose. It's underway right now, Hale Center Theater. And don't forget, still to come, Murder of the 1940s Sister Act Frozen. And be sure to go to hct.org not only to get your tickets to Footloose, but look at the 2026 season 2.
Thank you for joining us for Midday. Recapping our top local story, there's a community meeting tonight in Richfield as the Monroe Canyon fire continues to grow. It has burned 36,000 acres so far, and it is only 11% contained. KSL News Time, 12:07. Data from the past couple of years shows less people are moving into Utah. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
Pre-pandemic, Utah had a solid ratio of 1.41 people moving into the state for every one person who left the state. Data from Move Buddha shows that fell and continued to hit record lows in 2022, with more people leaving than coming into the state. It's made it back into a positive ratio since then, but now it ranks 31st among all 50 states. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
Utah is building more starter homes, but nationwide the average cost is climbing. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis has more.
There's a higher inventory of starter homes across the country, and in Utah, Governor Cox is asking for 35,000 new homes in the next 3 years to address the housing crisis. Despite that, prices for these smaller homes have raised to the highest level since 2023, with Redfin reporting the median cost for one is around $260,000.
Redfin says many Americans are looking at starter homes as they are being priced out of mid-tier, larger homes. KSL Sports. Utah's college football teams report to fall camp today. The Utah Utes are looking to bounce back from a 5-win season marred by injuries. Now their hopes are high with new quarterback Devin Dampier, who spoke at Big 12 Media Days about his transition to Utah.
It's been great. The teammates, coaches, they've all made it real easy. They're big on culture, and it just takes me to adapt to it, and they made that really easy, and the fans are great.
Quarterback is the biggest question mark for BYU following the departure of Jake Retzloff. Rice-Eccles Stadium, LaVelle Edwards Stadium are being recognized as some of the best environments for college football. USA Today ranked the top 25 college football stadiums in the country, with Utah coming in at 18 and BYU just behind at 22, putting both teams at the top of the Big 12 conference.
It's a huge advantage for both of them because they have that 12th man element where they've got passionate fans, hostile environment that's tough to go to.
KSL's BYU insider Mitch Harper says multiple players from outside the state say Utah and BYU have the toughest environments that they have ever been in. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. And here's Virl Johansson.
Well, Marie, we've got some lane restrictions on northbound I-215 right around the North Temple intersection, or the North Temple exit and on-ramps. The right lane and the right shoulder being blocked off right now by crews. Not really sure what's caused the lane restrictions, but it doesn't seem to be causing any delays to traffic. Then we have our typical slowdown southbound I-15 in the Kaysville Ponds Park area. That's also due to lane restrictions. But if you're on the 201 freeway or I-80 east or westbound, both of those are moving along at normal freeway speeds. Connect your family with nature this summer. Container gardening with plants from Olson's Greenhouse will get them off their screens and out in the yard. For tips and ideas, visit ogg.com. Virl Johansson in the KSL Traffic Center.
Hot and mostly sunny today with a high of 98. We've also got really dry wind out of the south. Humidity could be in the single digits this afternoon. High fire danger, red flag warning in place today and again tomorrow. 96 tomorrow afternoon, breezy and mostly sunny. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Partly cloudy skies in downtown Salt Lake City. And right now, 91 degrees. Coming up on Midday with Maria Shilaos, you're now getting a better look at a previously redacted lawsuit against Snapchat, which claims the social media platform directly harms Utah's children. That's coming up, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by At Your Service Pros. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
When you bundle renters and auto with Progressive, you can save while protecting your most valuable possessions, like your really expensive limited edition sneakers and your new suit for your cousin's wedding. Except you never actually bought the suit because you can't stop buying sneakers. So you show up to the wedding looking like you're going grocery shopping. But hey, at least your sneakers will look good in the pictures, until you're cropped out of every last one of them. So go ahead and get Progressive, so you can save while protecting the things that matter to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com, sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Worried about market losses? If headlines are keeping you up at night, it's time to take control. Hi, I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and I know you've worked hard to save. But in times like these, what if can turn into what now? If you're planning to retire or are in retirement, you need a strategy that helps protect your future. At Trajan Wealth, you can capture market gains, protect your account from losses, and guarantee income for life. Right now, you could receive a bonus of up to 30% or annual growth of up to 10% for retirement income. You heard me right. An upfront bonus of up to 30% or annual growth of up to 10%, all guaranteed to boost your lifetime income in retirement. Don't leave your future to chance. Plan with confidence. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company, DBA, in most states, as Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions.
Jeff Kaplan. I'm energized by breaking news. First of all, because it's right now, and second of all, because in many cases the audience needs to know. There's no more important service that we can provide, and I find it critically important to get more details to the audience as quickly as possible. There's nothing more energizing than that for me. Not at all. The most important thing we do is breaking news. I am gratified that so many people listen to me every afternoon on KSL, but what they don't know is that there are so many people behind the scenes making it happen, checking on the traffic, answering the phones, making the calls, talking to the newsmakers. They're out in the street, into the field to get the raw information, and then putting it all together so that I can sit in front of a microphone and be a source of information every afternoon. But there are so many people who make it happen. That's what you don't know.
Ride Home with Jeff Kaplan, weekdays 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
KSL News Time 12:15. The three things you need to know this hour. First,
Utah's Attorney General and the Department of Consumer Affairs are reminding 23andMe customers they can delete their data at any time after a bankruptcy judge approved the sale of DNA samples held by the company. I'm KSL News Radio's Heather Kelly.
Second, there is another red flag warning today for parts of central and southern Utah, making this the 6th straight day of high fire danger. Third, traffic and weather together, Verl.
We've got lane restrictions slowing down traffic in two different spots. One on northbound I-215 right around the North Temple on and off ramps. The other on I-15 southbound in the Kaysville Ponds Park area. I'm Burl Johansson in the KSL Traffic Center.
More dry afternoon winds out of the south. Fire danger elevated. I'm Matt Johnson.
And right now, partly cloudy skies, 91 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Time for KSL's top national stories.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. The NTSB opened 3 days of public hearings on January's deadly collision over the skies of Washington, D.C. between an Army helicopter and a regional passenger jet. All on board both aircraft died. ABC's Sam Sweeney says the federal findings so far are offering new final moments.
We're also learning that it's likely the Black Hawk helicopter never knew that they were about to collide with that plane, even in the last seconds. We also know that they did not get that final request from air traffic control to go behind the American Airlines plane.
A full report is not expected to be released until a year after the crash. The August 1st trade deadline fast approaching. Today, President Trump says talks with China are ongoing and announced India would face 25% tariffs on its imports. America's GDP, meantime, increased at an annual rate of 3% in the second quarter of 2025. That's higher than expected, but analysts also say reflecting that many businesses were buying up before the tariffs kicked in. President Trump once again called for the Federal Reserve Board to lower interest rates. The Fed board today after its two-day policy meeting, leaving interest rates unchanged for now, citing that it's waiting to see more of the impact of tariffs and inflation have on the economy. Bankrate chief financial analyst Greg McBride says key rates remain elevated and has tips on what consumers should do to tackle their debt or save for a rainy day.
It's costly to be a borrower, but it's good to be a saver. Lean into that. Pay down high-cost debt, credit card debt in particular, but even a lot of those home equity lines are carrying double-digit interest rates. Pay that debt down, and then also boost your emergency savings. High-yield savings accounts are still paying well over 4%. That's ahead of the rate of inflation.
A massive heat wave continuing to grip much of the country. Dangerous triple-digit temperatures along with humidity taxing millions of Americans. You're listening to ABC News.
Time for the KSL In-Depth. We're learning more about Utah's lawsuit against Snapchat after previously redacted documents were released this week. Executive Director of Utah's Department of Commerce, Margaret Bussey, joined Inside Sources to explain what these new documents tell us.
The main story here is that Snap knows how addictive their features are and are actually doubling down on those, encouraging their company to have more addictive features. They know how unsafe their platform is in terms of the number of sort of sex extortion acts that are going on, the easy access to drug sales, all of those things. They know how unsafe it is. They know how addictive it is. And they are doubling down. And the reason that came out of this and our investigation is that just in Q4 of 2023 alone, the U.S. advertising revenues for Snap was $1.8 billion. So it's really all about the dollar signs. And that is why they are not taking adequate steps to make their platform safer for kids and safer for all of us, frankly.
Bussey says kids are constantly checking the app to make sure that they are not missing out, which makes it even more addicting. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Let's check in with Verl.
Well, things are looking good northbound I-15 from Provo to Ogden. Everybody's moving along at normal freeway speeds. We do have those typical lane restrictions on southbound I-15 in the Kaysville Ponds Park area. Do those causing some slowdowns because of the lane restrictions. Then we have some the right lane and the right shoulder blocked in northbound I-215 right around the North Temple on and off ramp. But it doesn't seem to be, again, causing too many delays. And we also have out in Heber City a stalled vehicle blocking the right lane of southbound Highway 40, adding to a little bit of the traffic delays in that area. Burl Johansson in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast. I've got 98 degrees, mostly sunny skies today with a hot, dry breeze out of the south. Dry, breezy winds tomorrow. Thursday high, 96, mostly sunny skies. We keep it breezy even into Friday. Mostly sunny skies, 94. We are talking about high fire danger. Mid-90s on your Saturday and Sunday. Sunny skies, then it's mostly sunny and breezy again. Monday and Tuesday, we can't seem to break this pattern. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And it's partly cloudy, 91 degrees downtown. And the 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. Quick check of the markets, see how they're reacting to the Fed's decision not to change interest rates. Not bad, but not great as well. The Dow is just turned into negative territory. Spoke too soon. We'll see how the Dow continues to react to the Fed's inaction today. Stay with us.
Your electric bill is going to be higher for summer, but not if you get new windows from Advanced Window Products. State-of-the-art double-pane windows and insulated frames, any style, any color, from a company that's been building them right here in Salt Lake City for 39 years. Not only are you buying local, but you're cutting out the middleman because they're the factory. You save 30, even 40% on your new windows, and you get a lifetime guarantee from a trusted local company. If there's a problem 5 years from now, they come right over and get things straight. And right now, you can save even more. If you call Advanced Windows for a quote, they'll give you an extra $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Advanced Windows offers buy now, pay later. They have 60-month 0% financing. They always work out affordable payments, plus $2,500 off. So get your new windows for summer. Make the call now, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or you can go to advancedwindows.com.
A couple years ago, I was in the bathroom at the airport when I dropped my smartphone in the toilet. Not smart. I was multitasking when I should have been focused on the job at hand. Embarrassing, but I'm not alone. According to Google, 7 million other multitaskers accidentally dropped their phones into the bowl last year. A gentle reminder that right now you can get yourself a brand new Samsung Galaxy A36 absolutely free with a $35 plan from Pure Talk. The A36 comes with scratch-resistant Gorilla Glass and a battery that'll last all day, along with unlimited talk, text, and data on America's most dependable 5G network. In other words, it's tough and smart. Something to think about next time you're multitasking in the necessary. Just dial pound 250, say keyword micro to get your free phone today. You can make the switch in just 10 minutes. That's pound 250. Say micro to switch to a no-nonsense smartphone and a company that actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
Any Hour Services can make sure your AC keeps you cool this summer. Whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
I'm Dave Cawley, investigative journalist and host of the podcast Cold. In October of 1985, a woman named Cherie Warren left work at a busy Salt Lake City office
to meet her estranged husband at a downtown auto dealership.
She never made it home. Cherie's car surfaced weeks later in Las Vegas.
In the parking lot of a hotel casino.
No one knows how it got there.
Strange. It was strange.
Both Cherie's estranged husband and her boyfriend raised suspicion for investigators.
I kind of thought that he might have done something.
But no arrests were ever made. In Cold Season 3, we dig into double lives, make new connections in the case, and examine the difficulty raised by reasonable doubt.
We want answers just as much as anyone else.
They have creeps like that now too, so nothing's changed.
That's the new Cold Season 3, The Search for Cherie, now available anywhere you get your podcasts.
KSL News Time 1224, saying goodbye to a rock legend. Thousands lined the streets of Birmingham, England for a procession ahead of the funeral for Ozzy Osbourne. He died last week at the age of 76. ABC's Patrick Reevell was near the Black Sabbath Bridge honoring the group.
His wife Sharon came out of the car at this bridge and paid her respects. She laid some flowers. She clearly was very moved by the crowds. The children had to support her. You've got to hear people shouting, Ozzy, Ozzy, Ozzy. And the atmosphere here really has been a bit like a rock concert.
His band, Black Sabbath, was formed in Birmingham. Watching Utah's money, J.P. Morgan Chase wants to replace Goldman Sachs as the issuer of Apple credit cards. CNBC reports it would bring stability to Apple and regulatory scrutiny over how the billing and refunds are handled. The U.S. is producing even more millionaires. Swiss bank UBS reports about 1 in 10 American adults now have a net worth of at least $1 million, with 1,000 being added every day. But $1 million is not stretching like it used to. Their wealth is tied up in houses and 401ks. Popular beer Coors Light wants you to wear deodorant, and that's why the brand is coming out with a refrigerable stick. USA Today reports it's not beer-scented, but it's cold-activated, which is why it needs to be kept in the fridge next to the beer. And taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow back up into positive territory, up 22 points, sitting at 44,655. S&P is up by 15 points, and the NASDAQ up by 95 points. United and JetBlue have announced a points partnership where travelers with miles on either airline can use them interchangeably. ABC's Sam Sweeney says it could help travelers fly to more destinations.
You will now be able to use your United points, for example, on JetBlue flights and vice versa. And so this really opens up for the loyal JetBlue customers. They can now use their points on United, which will take them all around the world, which they weren't able to do before.
The partnership was approved by the Department of Transportation. It is not a merger.
Listen to KSL for the new and traditional content you've always loved. There's the new Inside Sources, expanded from 9 to noon, and new expanded news coverage with Maria Shilaos on Midday, noon to 3. And of course, the news and weather from voices you love, mornings and afternoons. Here are new traditions and the familiar ones on KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Hi, it's Tori DeVito. In every family, small conversations can make a big impact. I grew up on tour with my parents. Kind of different, but we bonded over music just like other families do over sports, camping, or other interests. And we talked. Little everyday conversations from silly to serious that built a foundation over time. Honest conversations, like when my dad shared his experiences as an alcoholic.
Your honesty about that part of your life gave me a sense of integrity that I wanted to uphold in my own life. And I was so grateful that you and Mom had become these sober, stable people who were always there for me.
I wanted you to know from someone who's been in recovery more than 30 years now that hard work is what creates success, not alcohol or other drugs, whether it's music or anything else. I said it a lot, and I'm glad you took it to heart.
Talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Email from school about the incident today.
Scary.
Tell me about it. Did you have any idea that was going on?
None. I mean, you saw Derek at the game last night too. Did you have a clue?
No, but you know, teachers like me, parents, we don't always know as much as you guys do. Kids hear first about what's going on with other kids.
Half the time, it's rumors.
It can be hard to tell sometimes, but if you're ever concerned about a friend who's having trouble with alcohol, prescription drugs, bullying, violence, anything, you need to tell an adult. Mom or me, a teacher, coach, school counselor, someone you know and trust.
Dad, no kid is gonna tell an adult about that kind of stuff.
I get it, but if we don't know, we can't help. Speaking up about a problem, that's what helping a friend is all about.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Here's Virl Johansson.
We've got lanes and restrictions slowing down traffic at a couple spots. First on northbound I-215, right around the North Temple on and off ramps. The right lane and the right shoulder are blocked there. And then your typical lane restrictions causing some slowdowns southbound I-15 in Kaysville, though once you get past that Ponds Park area, you're right back up to normal freeway speeds the rest you drive on I-15. Then we've got that stalled vehicle out in Heber City on southbound Highway 40, right around the 100 South exit, adding to a little bit more to slowdowns in that area. Verl Johansson in the KSL Traffic Center.
Mostly sunny skies today with a high of 98. Dry, hot winds out of the south, amplifying that fire danger this afternoon. We'll go high fire danger again tomorrow with a red flag warning in place across central and southern Utah. Highs along the Wasatch, 96. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Right now in downtown Salt Lake City, 91, 89 in Ogden, Provo, a little bit cooler at 88, St. George at this hour, 96, and you're going to have to go to Logan for 86 degrees.
You're listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos
on KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Good afternoon. KSL News Time, 1230. KSL's top story this half hour. The Salt Lake City School Board is working on finding a replacement after a member agreed to resign as part of a plea deal. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
The plea deal follows charges against Mohammed Bade, who was accused of trying to bribe his opponent into dropping out of last year's race. Bade was also ordered to pay a fine. Now the board is working to find someone before the school year starts, and the state statute makes the process pretty simple. Salt Lake City School District spokesperson Yandere Chatwin says it will be an application and interview process.
Individuals have to have lived within that precinct for at least a year. And they have to be eligible to hold elective office.
Chatwin says that means they have to certify they've never been convicted of a felony or a crime against a child. The new member will serve until December 2026, when the seat will be up for grabs again. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
Volunteers with 2 Utah companies are packing thousands of meal kits to help kids in need as they get ready to go back to school. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has more.
Volunteers with America First Credit Union and Young Automotive Group spent their morning packing over 5,000 bags filled with basic foods like mac and cheese, granola bars, and applesauce. These packs are for kids who don't have enough food at home over the weekend when they're not in school. America First Foundation Outreach Foundation Director Amber Greenwell tells me these kits will go to kids in the Davis School District, but they're far from the only ones in need.
Food insecurity can be hidden so easily, and I think so many people don't realize that not only the entire state, but each county has food insecurity.
Young Caring for Our Young Foundation Director Kelly Belknap says they're distributed by Bountiful Food Pantry, who gives out around 3,600 of these meal kits every week.
Just to think about the impact that it's giving even the parents who those kids come home and that they know that their kids are going to be fed for the weekend. That's so satisfying.
Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
A program run through SNAP is helping more people feel welcome at the farmers market. Through the Double Up program, Utahns on SNAP can get $2 for every $1 they spend on fresh produce at participating farmers markets. But the farmers market is not everyone's first thought when it comes to grocery shopping.
If you want to go somewhere, but you don't feel like you fit in, or you go and you know you can't participate, that is really isolating.
Utahns Against Hunger Executive Director Gina Cornea says providing the extra money to those on SNAP not only allows them to have access to locally grown healthy fruits and vegetables, it also allows them to participate in the community. KSL's top national stories. NYPD police continue their investigation into a Manhattan shooting that left 4 people, including an NYPD officer, dead. ABC's Aaron Katursky has the latest on those teams that are what they're focusing on and their search for answers. The gunman, 27-year-old Shane Tamura, worked for the Horseshoe Las Vegas Casino in their surveillance department before this incident. Other national stories KSL is following. The immediate threat has passed, but officials say people should still stay vigilant along the coastline of Northern California after an earthquake in the Pacific sparked a tsunami warning. In California, Matthew Kidwell with the National Weather Service says the tsunami warning has been downgraded to an advisory.
Strong currents through the day. I would expect through a lot of the day, you'll need to be especially cautious of the ocean.
The 8.8 magnitude quake was centered off the coast of eastern Russia and has triggered warnings as far south as South America. Recovery efforts continue along the Guadalupe River in the Texas Hill Country more than 3 weeks after a flood that killed more than 130 people.
Volunteers are finding precious things like pictures, stuffed animals, and other keepsakes and heirlooms.
My neighbor created a page called Found on the Guadalupe that's now almost 50,000 followers, and it's just been people coming together. There's the rescuers who are finding these items, there's the people bringing the items in, and then there's a whole team of women who are washing them and very gently taking care of them, and then doing the sacred work of returning these items to some of the flood victims.
Megan Wilson tells the church newsroom of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, when she first heard about the flooding, she prayed that she would be able to find a way to help. Don Brinkerhoff, KSL News Radio.
There is a high rate of suicide in Utah by guns, but the Utah Public Health Association hopes to curb the numbers by offering free gun safes, especially to people with mental health emergencies. Association Director Carrie Butler says the safes have fingerprint recognition, creating the need for time to open and access the gun.
If we can keep some time and distance between the person who's experiencing that crisis and the lethal means, we can prevent the suicide, get them help, and they will never go on to die by suicide, which is really exciting.
Butler says the grant is buying the gun safes, and the price for those have been dropping, meaning that they can purchase more. She says the safes can also store medications to keep them out of the hands of those contemplating suicide and children. First look traffic, here's Virl Johansson.
Well, Maria, it's smooth sailing on I-15 north and southbound, outside of some typical slowdown southbound I-15 in the Kaysville Ponds Park area. I'm Virl Johansson in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time, 12:35.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Does your job require you to be on your feet all day? Teachers, postal carriers, salespeople, and restaurant staff, many of us need our feet to get us through the day. Hi, this is Mike with the Good Feet store, and I'd like you to hear from Donna. She's a nurse and a real customer of the Good Feet store who wanted to share her story.
Oh, I have to tell you, I have struggled with pain in my feet. I was diagnosed with plantar fasciitis. With the 3-step program, it really fits to your lifestyle. I work in a hospital. I'm a registered nurse, so being on my feet, walking throughout the hospital during the day, I am free from any type of pain. And after working a 12-hour shift, I go home and my feet do not hurt.
Whether you're a nurse or anyone wanting to enjoy work without your feet getting in the way, come see us at the Good Feet store.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Schedule your free test walk at goodfeet.com.
If you didn't think skipping breakfast was a big deal, you'd be right. Before. But now, Wendy's has Buck Biscuits. We're talking sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit, bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit, or even the Honey Buddy chicken biscuit for just $1 each. Seriously, you can get all 3 if you want. They're just $1, so you'll never skip breakfast again. If you're smart. Breakfast for $1? Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Limit 5 qualifying items per transaction. Not valid in a combo while supplies last.
Pro Savings Days are back at Lowe's. Right now, get a 4-piece GE kitchen suite for under $2,000. Plus, get a free DeWalt 20-volt Max XR 8-amp-hour battery when you buy a select DeWalt tool. Save big with deals that work as hard as you do. Shop Pro Savings Days in-store or online today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 8/1. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details.
Get Mr. Mac's Performance Missionary Package. Includes 1 performance suit, 4 and collar stretch shirts, 3 ties, 1 mission belt, 1 pair of Echo or Johnston & Murphy shoes. All for just $695 at Mr. Mac.
Thank you for joining us for Midday. Recapping our top local story, the Salt Lake City School Board is planning to replace a board member who was forced to resign in a plea deal after being accused of trying to bribe his opponent last year. KSL News Time, 1237. A 31-year-old man has died following a motorcycle crash in South Jordan last night. Master Officer Sean Becker says the motorcycle hit an SUV that was trying to turn into a Smith's parking lot.
Emotional for those that were involved in the accident. A lot of destruction. That SUV's entire passenger side very damaged. The motorcycle obviously destroyed.
Becker says the rider died at the hospital. The SUV driver stayed on scene and cooperated with police. Becker says they believe speed was a factor in the crash. This is now the 6th fatal motorcycle crash in South Jordan this year. We are now learning the identities of two motorcyclists that have died in recent separate crashes. The 40-year-old Harley-Davidson driver who died when another car tried to turn left on SR 89 near the junction of SR 6 last Thursday is being identified as Brian Ezel from Helper. On the same day, there was a motorcycle crash in Blacksmith Fort Canyon. Authorities say the rider wasn't able to make the turn and went off the road into a river. He has now been identified as 19-year-old Tegan Swample from Preston, Idaho. A viral TikTok video has put a Provo bridal shop in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons and could land the business in small claims court. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera reports.
The TikTok that started it all now has hundreds of comments, many from women who say Something Borrowed Bridal took their dresses on consignment but never paid up. Now court records show one of them, Rebecca Bennett, is suing the shop's owners, Brooke and John Holohan, for $645. That includes unpaid rental commissions plus court and service fees. Bennett says she handed over her wedding dress to earn 25% every time it was rented. Store records show it was rented 3 times at $580 a pop, but 2 years later, she says she hasn't seen a dime. An email from Brooke Holohan submitted as evidence appears to confirm the dress was rented and then payment was owed. But Bennett says her follow-up text went unanswered, prompting her to take the case to Provo Small Claims Court. We've reached out to the shop and its owners for comment. Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Here's Virl Johansson.
Well, things are looking good. I-15 north and southbound from Ogden all the way to Provo, with just some typical slowdowns in Kaysville's Ponds Parks area. And then on the northbound, I-215 around the North Temple interchange. Those lane restrictions actually start around the 201 freeway, go all the way up to North Temple. And then UDOT's just reporting a crash on I-84 eastbound right by Taggart's Grill. It's causing a ton of delays. The UDOT's saying that the freeway right there is closed. I'm trying to get a closer look at that, and I'll let you know in just a couple minutes. Virl Johansson in the KSL Traffic Center.
We are stuck in a rut, folks. Repeat weather. Mostly sunny today, high of 98, high fire danger, southwest winds gusting to 35. 35-mile-an-hour gusts again for your Thursday, mostly sunny, 96. Fires in southern Utah and northern Arizona will grow even more. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And it's partly cloudy in downtown Salt Lake City, but the cloud's not cooling things off by much. It's 93 degrees. Coming up on Midday, the Fed choosing to keep interest rates the same. We'll get more perspective on what this means for us from the senior economist of Zions Bank, Robert Spendlove. That's coming up, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Summer is here, so how do you keep your lawn from drying up and water bills from skyrocketing? Revive Organic Soil Treatment. Revive treatments and proper watering are the keys to building stronger roots and the healthiest, greenest lawn possible. Revive fertilizes and moves water and nutrients deeper into the soil. You'll see the difference that Revive makes. It's a surefire defense against pet damage, high traffic, and dry spots caused by summer heat and drought. Use Revive. It works.
Nothing says summer like double rewards on your Mountain America Rewards credit card. Get 2 times the points on everything from gas and groceries to travel and home projects. Now through July 31st, 2025. Oh, wow. It's the perfect way to stretch your dollar and make summer doubly rewarding. Apply for your Mountain America Rewards credit card at macu.com/double. Loans on approved credit. Offer can change or be withdrawn at any time. Limited time offer. Terms and conditions apply.
All new Berninas are discounted at Dave's Bernina in St. George and Provo.
Experience why Dave's Bernina is one of the top Bernina dealers in America. Save hundreds to thousands of dollars on select Bernina sewing, quilting, and embroidery machines and get special free bundles of accessories.
These free gift packages include items such as embroidery kits,
presser feed set,
machine and travel cases,
embroidery software coupons,
books, ruler kits, and lots of accessories.
Plus a limited time offer of 2.99% interest for 60 months on certain machines.
Come in now for bargains on trade-ins, classroom, and demo machines that come with warranties.
Remember, new Bernina machines come with a 5-year warranty and free classes.
At Dave's Bernina, 691 East St. George Boulevard and 2017 North 550 West in Provo.
At Dave's Bernina.
Come Come see the Bernina 990, the most amazing revolutionary sewing machine in the world. DaveBernina.com.
A lot of the big events of the summertime of 25 are in the rearview mirror now. We're approaching August. It is time to get the kids ready to go back to school, squeak in that last vacation, and Ruth's Chris Steakhouse would like to help. With their 2 locations, you can drop by for the meal of the year. It waits for you at 275 South on West Temple. All kinds of things to do right now in downtown Salt Lake City. And if you're going up for that big hike or just a shopping experience in the Park City area, there's Ruth's Chris Steakhouse right there at Hotel Park City. There's no need to go out and fire up the grill, go and buy the steaks and then all the side dishes and desserts. Then you have to worry about cooking that steak just right. I mean, after all, we know how expensive steaks are right now. It has to be cooked to perfection. The side dishes, everything else. And then there's the cleanup. Let Ruth's Chris Steakhouse take care of that for you. Wrap up your great summertime with an experience at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
KSL News Time, 1245. The 3 things you need to know this hour. First,
Utahns on SNAP are finding it easier to get to the farmers market thanks to a program that provides free money for local fruits and vegetables. I'm KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis.
Second, University of Utah police say they've arrested a man who was on the loose after being accused of sexual battery on one of the university's shuttles. Third, traffic and weather together, Verl.
Smooth sailing I-15 north and southbound from Ogden to Provo and I-80 east and westbound from Tooele to Park City. I'm Verl Johansson in the KSL Traffic Center.
Red flag warning in place across the state today and tomorrow. I'm Matt Johnson.
Partly cloudy, 93 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Time now for KSL's top national stories.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. The Federal Reserve Board holding key interest rates steady for now. 2 governors appointed by President Trump dissented with that opinion, marking the first time since 1993 there was dissent among the Fed board. ABC's Alexis Kostropoulos said the Fed board is watching the impact of tariffs has on inflation.
The Fed continuing to take its wait-and-see attitude, not feeling that there's any big rush here to go out and cut interest rates. Remember, the Fed would cut interest rates in a scenario where it wants to stimulate the economy. It wants to convince businesses and consumers to go out and spend big. It seems as though the economy's chugging along just nicely without a rate cut.
President Trump has been pushing for lower interest rates. In Nebraska, a father and his 2 daughters were killed in a large explosion at Horizon Biofuels in Fremont. That's about 40 miles outside Omaha. The plant makes fuel pellets and animal bedding. The cause of the explosion still under investigation. And on Wall Street, stocks are up. This is ABC News.
Time for the KSL In-Depth. As you just heard on ABC News, despite President Trump's back and forth with the Fed chair and his calls for lowering interest rates, the Fed today decided to keep those interest rates the same. Joining me now live is Robert Spendlove. He's senior economist at Zions Bank, and thank you so much for being with me, Robert.
It's good to be with you.
So what do you think of this move?
Well, the biggest story out of this Fed meeting is that dissension of 2 of the Fed governors. We have governors dissent all the time, but it's usually just one. But it's been 30 years since we've seen 2 Fed governors dissent. So we're starting to see some cracks emerge within the Fed about their interest rate path.
So how is this really impacting folks? I know for someone like me who wants to refinance a second mortgage, I've just kind of been in a wait-and-see mode. But overall, how does it affect people?
Well, so the Fed really only controls very short-term interest rates. And, in fact, the rate we're talking about is called the Fed funds rate, and it's just the overnight rate that banks charge to maintain liquidity. But, when you get into the longer-term interest rates, like to buy a home or to buy a car or for credit cards, that's much more impacted by the overall economy and the kind of the health of the federal government. And we've seen, even when the Fed was cutting short-term rates last fall, we saw those longer-term rates go up. And so that's kind of been the struggles. We have President Trump, really leaning on Jerome Powell and on the Fed to drop rates. But that won't necessarily have an impact on those longer-term interest rates.
So remind us, didn't the Fed say earlier in the year they plan to cut rates a couple of times before the end of the year? What do you foresee happening?
Yeah, so the Fed has indicated in their most recent forecast, the Fed said they're going to drop rates 2 more times this year. They haven't specifically said, at which meetings, but the markets kind of think it's going to be in September and November when they drop those rates again. But then they've also said we will be data dependent. So they want to see what inflation looks like. They want to see what employment looks like. And if those continue to operate the way we want them to, then the Fed will have some ability to drop that rate. But Jerome Powell is nervous that we're going to see elevated inflation because of the tariffs, and so that's why he's been holding back.
Nothing dramatic happening in the markets as a result of this. Sounds like they weren't too surprised.
Yeah, the markets kind of anticipated this. The Fed has been really good about kind of messaging this, but now the big question is, will the Fed follow through? Will the Fed start to drop? And what does it mean that we're seeing these dissents from some of the Fed governors?
All right, Robert, thanks for being with me.
Sure.
Live on the KSL Newsline, that is Robert Spendlove. He's a senior economist at Zions Bank. Traffic and weather is brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. And here's Phil Johansson.
Well, things are looking pretty good along the Wasatch Front. No major delays north or southbound I-15 or east and westbound I-80. I mean, you're seeing your typical slowdowns on I-15 southbound around the Kaysville Ponds Park from lane restrictions and on I-215 northbound as we've got more lane restrictions from the 201 freeway to about North Temple. And then I was just speaking with UDOT officials, so I-84 eastbound is closed as you approach that Taggart exit due to a crash just past the Taggart's exit. So it's going to be a bit if you're trying to go from Morgan out into Croydon. Burl Johansson in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast, lots of wind and fire danger. I got mostly sunny skies today. 98 the high, it'll be breezy out of the south. Breezy again tomorrow with red flag warnings in place, 96 the high. 94 with a bit of a breeze on Friday and mostly sunny skies. Mid-90s, low 90s even possible Saturday and Sunday, sunny skies. And then it's low 90s with more wind, folks. Monday and Tuesday, it's going to be a while before we can put these fires out. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And the temperature continues to climb this noon hour. We've now hit 95 degrees downtown. 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. It's really easy for me to talk about a great local company that has done a great job for me. I want to tell you about At Your Service Pros. They are family owned. They have served Utah homeowners for more than 20 years, and they will serve all of your heating and air, plumbing and electrical needs, and they have a nearly perfect 4.9 star rating, and it's pretty easy to see. They are just so attuned to what you need. They give you all of the information, and this is so important to them. They're giving a ton of quality information even on their YouTube channel. Their YouTube channel is called Healthy Water and Air, and this month At Your Service Pro is giving you a chance to win a free air conditioning system, and it's so easy to be entered to win. You just go to their YouTube channel, Healthy Water and Air, you watch the AC giveaway video, and you subscribe and you comment. You can just say hi. That will double your chances of winning. You can also email their office at healthywaterandairutah.com. And, when you need a company that's going to do a great job for you, they're going to give you a great estimate and all the information you need. They're not going to upsell you. It's At Your Service Pros.
For nearly 70 years, Les Olson IT has been the trusted name for businesses. From state-of-the-art printers and copiers to managed IT services, we have the solutions you need to stay ahead in today's world. And now Les Olson IT is trusted and licensed in Utah for security systems, for technology that helps you work smarter. Les Olson IT, providing solutions that empower your business.
Les Olson IT.
Do you have an IRA or 401k? It's natural to think of this as being your money, right? But remember, you still have to pay taxes when you withdraw this money in retirement. And you could be paying a lot more in taxes on these accounts than you know. A lot more. Learn the strategies that can help you reduce or eliminate your taxes in retirement. Don't miss a special edition of Retirement Solutions Radio this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock. right here on KSL News Radio 1027.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code EARN to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code EARN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code EARN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Now you're good, sorry.
Okay, KSL News Time is 12:54. The GDP came out higher than expected for the second quarter. The Commerce Department says the GDP rose 3% from April to June, but economists say that number only tells a portion of the story.
We saw a substantial drop in imports in the second quarter. That helped to drive GDP growth. And that's really partly due because a lot of businesses front-loaded their purchases of foreign goods in the first quarter to get ahead of the tariffs.
That is ABC's Alexis Christoforous. Our apologies for that loud music. She says businesses are playing it safe due to the uncertainty that could come out of President Trump's tariffs policy. Watching Utah's money, Tesla has signed a $4.3 billion battery deal with South Korea's LG Energy Solution. Reuters reports it's going to reduce the country's reliance on Chinese-made batteries and hopefully save some money with increasing tariffs. Nature's Bakery is planning to build a $240 million facility in Salt Lake City. The company makes individually packed snacks like fig, oatmeal crumble, or other fruit bars. KSL.com reports it's expected to produce nearly 1 billion snack bars a year and will create more than 230 new jobs. Starbucks is logging off and closing its stores where mobile ordering is the only option. Chain working to capitalize on a warm and inviting environment. Some store sales fell for the 6th straight quarter. And your money at this moment, the Dow is now dropped by more than 100 points, down to 44,495. S&P is down by 3. The NASDAQ, though, is up by 39 points.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you have a drain that's clogged or backed up, after you've tried the plungers and products, the next step usually involves some kind of drain snake or cabling equipment. You see, sometimes the blockage is far enough down the line that you need special equipment that most homeowners just don't have. That's where the Drains Department at Any Hour Services can help. A drain snake can clear most blockages and get the water flowing again, and clearing blocked drains is what our Drains Department does day in and day out. So if you're a homeowner with a drain line that's clogged or backed up and you'd like one of our drain technicians to come and snake the line for you, it's only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Lowe's knows big savings make a big difference, especially when you're shopping for appliances. Hurry in to get up to 30% off select major appliances. Plus, My Lowe's Rewards members get free delivery, free haul away, free installation and parts on purchases of $2,500 or more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 7/30. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Price, delivery time, and vehicle availability may vary based on order size and location. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com/delivery for more details.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
Email from school about the incident today.
Scary.
You know, teachers like me, parents, we don't always know as much as you guys do about what's going on with other kids.
Half the time, it's rumors.
Yeah, but if you're ever concerned about a friend who's having trouble with alcohol, prescription drugs, anything, you need to tell an adult, someone you know and trust. That can be hard, but speaking up about a problem is what helping a friend is all about.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. And what is happening on the roads, Ferrell?
Well, we got a crash up in Morgan County, blocking both lanes of eastbound traffic on I-84, starting right about the Taggart's Grill exit, backing traffic up right about to the edge of the Round Valley Golf Course. So if you're heading I-84 eastbound to Croydon, you might want to wait a little bit for things to get cleared up. I-15, though, here on the Wasatch Front, looking good all the way from Ogden down to Provo. Common Spirit, hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advanced health care in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with Human Kindness is here. Hello, Human Kindness. Verl Johansson in the KSL Traffic Center.
And we are staying in the upper 90s for the next 3 days, then down into the mid-90s, and hopefully by next week we'll be down into the low 90s, but not really a chance of rain in the forecast at all. And in fact, just a few clouds for the next couple of days, then over the weekend, just a ton of sunshine. 95 degrees downtown.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
A community supporting each other as the Monroe fire continues to burn near their homes.
We just want to make sure that people, feel heard, that we're answering questions. They can put faces to, the people actually out there on the ground doing this work.
The time is 1 o'clock on Wednesday, July 30th. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, containment fell and the fire exploded in size overnight. We'll give you the latest information on the red flag warnings. Also this hour,
the engineering managers literally said that Snapchat should have even more addicting features because of how effective they are.
New details coming to light today in a lawsuit that Utah filed against Snapchat. But first, our top stories. Salt Lake City is in the market for a new school board member just ahead of the new school year. That's because of a plea deal that resulted in a board member's resignation. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
Mohammed Baid was accused of trying to bribe his opponent into dropping out of the race last year. As part of his plea deal, he has to resign, pay a $1,000 fee, and serve 6 months of abeyance probation. Now the school district is looking for a replacement. Spokesperson Yandere Chatwin says thankfully the state makes the process pretty easy.
Individuals in Precinct 5 who are interested would have the opportunity to fill out an application. Then they would be interviewed by the remaining members of the Board of Education, and the board would vote to appoint a new member to fill that seat.
Chatwin says the newly elected person will serve the remainder of Bade's term until December 2026.
The new board member is expected to start in the next few weeks. Our top national story. Interest rates will stay where they are for now, but the Federal Reserve's decision was not unanimous.
There were two dissenters here. So Governors Waller and Governor Bowman both disagreed with the rest of the Fed board, and they believe it is time to cut interest rates. They're calling for a quarter-point cut. So not only is the Fed having this external pressure from President Trump to cut interest rates, but now there seems to be an internal divide within the Federal Reserve for the first time in decades. And I also want to point out those Those two dissenters were appointees by the Trump administration in his second term.
That is ABC's Alexis Christophorous reporting. And taking a look at your money at this moment, well, the markets were slow to react, but now the Dow is down by more than 300 points, nearly 0.75%, sitting at 44,338. S&P is down by 25 points, and the NASDAQ, it's down about 0.25%, down by 50 points. Virginia authorities are trying to figure out why someone would break into the offices of a magazine and attack a small-town city council member. Lee Vogler is director of sales at Showcase magazine, as well as a Danville city councilman. Investigators say the attacker entered the magazine office and set Vogler on fire. There is no word on how badly he was hurt. The suspect is in custody. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Here's Virl Johansson.
We're starting to see some slowdown southbound I-15 in the Sandy area, starting at about 106 south, going all the way through Draper to about 123rd. There's no crash in the area, just a little bit more traffic congestion. And then I-84 eastbound in Morgan County, we've got it closed just after the Taggart's exit due to a crash in that area. That traffic is backing up pretty far already, all the way back to Round Valley Golf Course. Virl Johansson in the KSL Traffic Center.
And our forecast staying the same for almost the next 7 days, with highs in the 90s, upper 90s for the next few days. Not a chance of rain. Right now, 95 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. For years now, I've been telling you about Connecticut soft water systems that use 2/3 less salt than the others. But I've never told you exactly how they do that. Well, there are several ways, so consider this as part one in a series. Most of the softeners out there use a finicky, hard-to-adjust computer to guesstimate when to cycle, and it errs on the side of cycling too often, which means it'll burn through way too much salt way too soon. Connecticut is different. It has an all-mechanical system that measures the water precisely. No computer, no guesstimating, so it cycles only when needed. The result, Connecticut delivers perfectly soft water 24/7 using minimal salt. So why not save your lower back from carrying the 3 bags of salt when all you need is 1? Call Northern Utah's authorized Connecticut dealer, Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake. Call them now, 801-576-8600, or log on to softwaterutah.com and tell them Doug sent you.
If you didn't think skipping breakfast was a big deal, you'd be right. Before. But now, Wendy's has Buck Biscuits. We're talking sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit, bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit, or even the Honey Buddy chicken biscuit for just $1 each. Seriously, you can get all 3 if you want. They're just $1, so you'll never skip breakfast again. If you're smart. Breakfast for $1? Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Limit 5 qualifying items per transaction. Not valid in the combo while supplies last.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
The Monroe Canyon Fire continues to grow this hour, and for many in Sevier County, it is personal. Flames are now visible from town, cabins have been lost, and the emotional toll is mounting. Thanks for tuning in to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Tonight, officials will hold a community meeting to update residents on the firefighting efforts and to answer questions. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera joins me now. And Eric, this fire has gotten significantly worse. And what is tonight's meeting all about?
Maria, officials say this meeting is really about keeping people informed and helping the community feel heard. I spoke with Alyssa Archuleta from the Complex Incident Management Team, and she said it's not just about giving updates, it's about connection during crisis.
This is just to keep the public informed on what is happening out there on the landscape, because there's a lot of information. There's things happening every day. And the way the fire had been progressing, it was moving quickly, and just the impacts were changing very rapidly. So we are just trying to keep that information going out to the public. Not everybody has Facebook access. Not everybody has access to the other sites we're posting on. We are posting out in the community, but we just want to make sure that people, feel heard, that we're answering questions.
And Eric, I know you spoke with someone who's been watching this all unfold up close.
Yes, I talked to the owner of Tony's Bakery in Monroe, where the smell of smoke is in the air and the fire is visible just beyond the storefront. Christine Diamond owns the place, and she told me the fire isn't just a backdrop, it's actually changing lives in her own circle.
Standing here talking to you, I'm outside. I can see it right there. It is awful. The ashes are coming down like snow in areas, and the smoke is just so thick that it goes out to the west, because I live in Richfield, which is 8 miles, but work here in Monroe, and I can see it from Richfield. And we're really sad about this, having hopes that it gets better. See the helicopter carrying the water. It's just so real and sad. The trails that we used to ride, I've even just had a memory, 10 years memory of our little rides up through there. Up, and it just makes me sad how beautiful everything looks, to see what it must be now that we're not even allowed to go up there.
Oh, that really puts it into perspective. Ashes falling like snow. You can even hear that smoke in her voice.
That's right.
So what's happening at this meeting tonight?
So, Maria, it starts at 7:30 tonight at Snow College's Richfield campus in the Sorensen Administration Building. Fire crews and emergency managers are going to be there to give updates on containment, evacuations, and, of course, answer community questions.
Eric, what about those people who can't be there?
So officials say they'll keep pushing out updates online and also through emergency alert systems. Plus, we'll be tracking developments, of course, here on KSL as the situation evolves.
Thanks, Eric.
You got it.
Today marks the 6th straight day that portions of central and southern Utah will see a red flag warning, and the forecast isn't looking like it'll offer any reprieve soon. KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson says these conditions aren't going to help the firefighters.
When we get a red flag warning is that the atmospheric conditions are primed for fire growth. So if a new fire sparks, it's going to take off fast. For current fires that are already burning, it's going to fan those things with extra oxygen, and they are going to burn fast and for long distances. Tomorrow would be day 7, and so what this is telling us is we've seen a persistent pattern that's been locked in with a lot of wind, a lot of dry air, and favorable fire conditions. So we'll likely see some pretty aggressive fire behavior from these fires, and it may come to the firefighters having to stand down again like they did last Friday. And so it's definitely something we need to watch out for. Extra smoke in the atmosphere. If you live downwind of these fires, you're definitely going to be seeing reduced visibility, bad air quality. And of course, if you live a little bit closer to these, you might want to keep your ears to the ground for potential evacuation orders.
Matt says that only certain counties will actually be under a red flag warning, but that doesn't mean that the rest of the state is in the clear.
There's only a certain amount of counties that are under the red paint, but I would say the entire state is definitely in favorable conditions for fire growth, just because it's not like the wind just obeys the county lines, right? We get wind across the entire state and across the entire region of Intermountain West. It's just these areas that are highlighted in red are a little more primed as far as fuel availability. So your grass, your shrubs, your timber, that's a little more primed in these red marked areas. Outside of that, the fuel moisture might be a little bit higher. So it might not be a little more as favorable to burn. But I would argue we just haven't seen that much rain since early spring. And we're witnessing, in Salt Lake City at least, I think 4th or 5th driest summer so far, with only 3 days at the airport receiving measurable rainfall in the month of June and July.
Besides the winds and the heat, another thing firefighters have to deal with is low humidity.
When you get humidities down to the single digits in the afternoon, that sucks a lot of moisture out of the fuel. So the logs, the timber, the grass, a lot of your finer fuels, they're a lot more easy to combust. So it doesn't take as much energy to get them to burn. So a lot of times when you got low humidity, the fire is moving at a really quick clip because before the flames can even reach some of those fuels, they're already igniting because it doesn't take as much energy to get them to go. You've probably seen that in real life if you've ever held a dry piece of wood next to a flame. It can even catch without direct contact, and that's kind of what will happen when your humidity is really, really low. The other danger with really low humidity is that your overnight recovery, we call it recovery humidity, it's not getting to the point of 20 or 30%. It's only recovering to about 15%, and that allows the fire to burn in the overnight, even though it doesn't have the sunlight or maybe that added heat and wind from the afternoon. It will still burn quite well simply because there's just not a lot of humidity out there to prevent those fuels from catching.
As for those of us along the Wasatch Front, we are mostly contending with smoke, and Matt says we might get a little break if the winds shift to the east, like predicted.
We're right on that northern fringe of the plume of smoke for the Wasatch Front, and, I think the continued trend will happen. We get these stiff winds out of the southwest, and it really directs those plumes to southwest Wyoming and eastern Colorado. But in the overnight, when that wind relaxes, we actually see some of it drift down into the valley floors. Along the southern Wasatch and even portions of the Wasatch back. I think that will continue to be the trend, but generally speaking, over the next 5 to 7 days, I still do see what we call the steering winds up above the mountaintops directing that smoke out to the east. So I think generally we're going to stay away from the heavy smoke, but if we do see a wind switch out of the south, which could be temporary at times, then we'd see the smoke, but generally speaking, I think it's going to shunt off to the east.
As wildfire season continues, make sure you are following KSL News Radio for the latest updates. Stay up to date by visiting kslnewsradio.com, then click on Utah Fire Watch at the top of the homepage.
Your electric bill is going to be higher for summer, but not if you get new windows from Advanced Window Products. State-of-the-art double-pane windows and insulated frames, any style, any color, from a company that's been building them right here in Salt Lake City for 39 years. Not only are you buying local, but you're cutting out the middleman because they're the factory. You save 30, even 40% on your new windows, and you get a lifetime guarantee from a trusted local company. If there's a problem 5 years from now, they come right over and get things straight. And right now, you can save even more. If you call Advanced Windows for a quote, they'll give you an extra $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Advanced Windows offers buy now, pay later. They have 60-month 0% financing. They always work out affordable payments, plus $2,500 off. So get your new windows for summer. Make the call now, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or you can go to advancedwindows.com.
We are getting a clearer look at a lawsuit that Utah brought against the parent company of Snapchat. Documents that were previously redacted have now been released. Executive Director of Utah's Department of Commerce, Margaret Bussey, tells Inside Sources that information shows that Snap knows how addictive and dangerous their app can be for kids.
Really, the main story here is that Snap knows how addictive their features are and are actually doubling down on those, encouraging their company to have more addictive features. They know how unsafe their platform is in terms of the number of sort of sex extortion acts that are going on, the easy access to drug sales, all of those things. They know how unsafe it is. They know how addictive it is. And they are doubling down. And the reason that came out of this and of our investigation is that just in Q4 of 2023 alone, the U.S. advertising revenues for Snap was $1.8 billion. So it's really all about the dollar signs. And that is why they are not taking adequate steps to make their platform safer for kids and safer for all of us, frankly.
Bussey says the algorithm created by Snap purposely aims to keep kids on the platform for long and frequent periods of time.
You know, the ephemeral nature of the messages is what creates this FOMO, this fear of missing out, so that our kids feel like they constantly have to be checking the app to make sure they're not missing something. And they know this. And so one of the things our investigation revealed is that the engineering managers literally boasted that Snapchat should have even more addicting features because of how effective they are in keeping our kids on their platform.
Bussey tells Inside Sources that Snapchat is also experimenting with and introducing new AI companions, too. She says this can help child predators find vulnerable app users.
They've introduced an AI companion called My AI, and it really has not been vetted appropriately in terms of making sure that guardrails are on there so that kids can easily get conversations going with this AI companion that are, telling them to, hey, go ahead and make sexual advances to your 7th grade math teacher. I mean, stuff like this, which is just shocking. And this, to me, is just an irresponsibility on their part in not creating the appropriate guardrails. The other thing that we uncovered with their My AI tool is that even when kids say they do not want their location disclosed, that the location is still being tracked, and their data is being shared with Microsoft and with OpenAI, and that has not been disclosed.
Bussey says a big part of the lawsuit from the state alleges that Snap doesn't have enough safeguards in place to truly protect kids.
We have this issue of these cleverly designed algorithms that are specifically formulated to addict our kids without putting any safeguards on that algorithm to, not only to not addict them, but to keep them away from sexual predators. So one of the things we found in our investigation, which is really quite shocking, is that their algorithms, so if you have a predator on Snapchat that is looking for vulnerable children, and they know the characteristics of vulnerable children, the algorithm Snap Map suggests these predators to other vulnerable children. So it's literally making recommendations between to other, sort of would-be predators and vulnerable children.
Snapchat responded to the report saying that the safety of their users is their top priority. We do have some breaking news here that we're following. Former Vice President and presidential candidate Kamala Harris has confirmed that she will not run for governor of California. Harris says she gave the move serious thought but decided against it. Current Governor Gavin Newsom is restricted by term limits and cannot run for another term. Major changes could be coming to national emissions standards and laws. What might that mean for your car? We'll take a look at that in just a few minutes. But first, let's take a look at traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. You have some emergency traffic, Burl?
That's right, Maria. We've got a crash in I-84 eastbound in Morgan County, right around the Taggart's exit, and it's closed that eastbound section of I-84 between Morgan and Croydon. It's causing major delays right now. They've started right around that Taggart exit. They back up all the way to about Round Valley Golf Course as you get closer to Morgan City. The nice thing is if you're driving along the Wasatch Front, though, things are moving along nicely, whether that's from Ogden to Provo southbound or northbound Provo to Ogden. Whether you park it, stripe it, or pave it, Go Pave Utah has your blacktop covered at gopavutah.com. That's gopavutah.com. Call or visit gopavutah.com. Burl Johansson in the KSL Traffic Center.
Behind the curtain of Utah and Washington politics.
It seems like the federal government is now saying to the states, you have much more control of your destiny.
And expanded inside sources.
And so our legislature is trying to figure out what their boundaries are.
Well, even like FEMA, right?
Yes.
Wildfire disasters.
The all-new Inside Sources.
If we have to pay for it all of ourselves, can we afford that as a state?
Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson, now on 9 to noon on KSL News Radio.
Okay, I want to tell you about Salt Lake City Fat Loss. With this great program, I have lost more than 40 pounds. They are helping me keep it off in their great maintenance as well. And I want you to know that this is an all-natural program. It is much less expensive than many of the other programs out there. And that's because you are not forced to buy all sorts of things like breakfast bars and that kind of stuff. And since it's all natural, you don't have to worry about any side effects as well. It's just a program that boosts your metabolism, and it boosts it without exercise, and that means it fit perfectly into my busy schedule. Check it out for yourself. Save $200 now at slcfatloss.com. You can call them 801-450-1882. That's slcfatloss.com, slcfatloss.com.
The Social Security Administration just announced they are now projected to run out of money 1 year earlier than expected. Benefits could be cut by as much as 23%. and the average person could lose more than $100,000 in lifetime income. This news could significantly change when you file for Social Security. Discover how you could get every penny out of your benefits with a free Social Security analysis from Boss Retirement Solutions. If you've saved more than $300,000 and have not filed for Social Security, schedule your free analysis now by calling 801-896-9622. This free, customized analysis could help you get every penny out of Social Security. Call 801-896-9622. That number again, 801-896-9622.
Boss Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the Social Security Administration.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
A lot of the big events of the summertime of 25 are in the rearview mirror now. We're approaching August. It is time to get the kids ready to go back to school, squeak in that last vacation, and Ruth's Chris Steakhouse would like to help. With their 2 locations, you can drop by for the meal of the year. It waits for you at 275 South on West Temple. All kinds of things to do right now in downtown Salt Lake City. And if you're going up for that big hike or just a shopping experience in the Park City area, there's Ruth's Chris Steakhouse right there at Hotel Park City. There's no need to go out and fire up the grill, go and buy the steaks and then all the side dishes and desserts. Then you have to worry about cooking that steak just right. I mean, after all, we know how expensive steaks are right now. It has to be cooked to perfection. The side dishes, everything else. And then there's the cleanup. Let Ruth's Chris Steakhouse take care of that for you. Wrap up your great summertime with an experience at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
You are listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. A key rule governing emissions in the country may soon be going away. The host of the Start Here podcast, Brad Milkey, takes a look at why it matters.
It's long been accepted in the scientific community that excessive carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases are bad for public health. At this point, it's considered kind of a no-brainer. In fact, the whole concept has really been the central basis of a lot of actions taken against climate change over a good chunk of this century. Well, now, President Donald Trump's administration is proposing repealing that basic finding, which could lay the groundwork for dozens of other EPA rollbacks. Let's turn to ABC's Matthew Glasser, who covers climate, weather, and space for us. Matthew, first off, what is this rule?
Sure. So the endangerment finding is basically the Clean Air Act that was a law passed by Congress said if the Environmental Protection Agency finds that air pollutants endanger public health and welfare, they should regulate them under the Clean Air Act. Now, in 2007, there was a Supreme Court case that decided that indeed the EPA did have the authority to regulate greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide and methane under the Clean Air Act. It was challenged in court saying that that's not what Congress meant, that they wanted to do specific pollutants, that greenhouse gases didn't qualify. The Supreme Court said if the Environmental Protection Agency determines that greenhouse gases endanger public health and welfare, they have every right to regulate them. And then in 2009, the Obama EPA made that determination. They found, after reviewing 200 pages worth of scientific analysis, 380,000 public comments, a couple of hearings, that indeed greenhouse gases endanger public health and welfare.
The days of Washington dragging its heels are over. My administration will not deny facts. We will be guided by them.
And that set the stage for creating regulations for automobile emissions, power plant emissions, manufacturing. the current regulations we know.
Like now that we've said these things are dangerous, you're not allowed to emit these from your cars or whatever it is.
Or at very least limits what you can emit.
ABC's Matthew Glasser says the Trump administration wants to do away with the rule, calling it government overreach, making its point in a news conference this week.
It is important for us to understand that what the EPA did was many mental leaps in trying to creatively interpret Section 202 of the Clean Air Act.
EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin did a press conference yesterday where he laid out the thought process for why his EPA is going to repeal the endangerment finding.
Yeah, what is the reasoning here? Because Zeldin says not only did the EPA just overreach in terms of the law, but that their underlying science wasn't true. I mean, have scientists changed their findings in recent years?
So that's interesting because the experts we spoke to, both climate science and environmental law, all said that that would be a faulty fool's errand if they decide to try to pursue the science side of the case.
The chances of bad weather or severe weather events are going to increase. And that's what the science tells us and has been telling us for a long time.
They said, they may have a claim that it was an overreach in terms of the legality, that it was not the intent of Congress to regulate greenhouse gases, although that has been litigated many times over the years, and the courts have ultimately found that indeed the Clean Air Act does allow for the regulation of greenhouse gases. But the science is not only settled, it's stronger now than it was back in 2009 when the original determination was made.
What we're going to see in the future, frankly, if Administrator Zeldin has his way, is more and more air pollution.
Multiple reports coming from the U.S., from the United Nations, from the EU, have all found that greenhouse gases are a direct threat to both the planet and to individuals. And I think the extreme weather events we've seen over the last few years is, an example of how human-amplified climate change can exacerbate these extreme weather events and make them worse.
Right. And as you've reported, there's it's 31 EPA rules can be traced directly back to this original decision that is now in the crosshairs. I mean, what happens next for this rule?
Right. So there is a process. You can't just repeal a rule. It goes through a rigorous process, which includes a public commenting period. So the public will have an opportunity to submit written comments or to participate in forums. There is no doubt going to be a series of lawsuits. I think this will be held up in court for a while, but I think that's part of the strategy. In talking to some of the legal scholars, they believe that the ultimate goal here is to get the Supreme Court, which is a very different court now than it was when it ruled that the Clean Air Act did cover greenhouse gases.
Right.
They believe the ultimate goal here is to get the court to say you can't regulate greenhouse gases on a federal, state, or local level.
ABC's Brad Milkey and Matthew Glasser. It's 1:30 midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching. Fall football camp kicks off today for universities around Utah. We'll get a breakdown of your favorite teams and new data showing the men's rates for skin cancer are off the charts. And KSL traffic.
On I-84 between Morgan and Croydon is closed due to a crash at the Taggart's exit. Maria?
Thank you, Verl. KSL's top local stories in 1 minute. First, ABC.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. The Federal Reserve Board announced it's holding interest rates steady as it watches the impact of President Trump's tariffs on the economy. The president has pushed for lower interest rates. Fed Chair Jerome Powell says the overall economy remains resilient.
Changes to government policies continue to evolve, and their effects on the economy remain uncertain. Higher tariffs have begun to show through more clearly to prices of some goods, but their overall effects on economic activity and inflation remain to be seen.
Two members of the board appointed by President Trump dissented. Former Vice President and presidential candidate Kamala Harris announcing she will not run for California's governor. Harris says she will support the power of the people to fight for freedoms. In Gaza, famine conditions getting worse. More than 36 were killed today while seeking aid in northern Gaza. U.S. officials confirming that Special Envoy Steve Witkoff will travel to Israel tomorrow to meet with Israel's prime minister and officials on the next steps for Gaza. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. A large portion of central and southern Utah remain under red flag conditions for the 6th straight day, and those warnings will likely be issued again tomorrow. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
The red flag conditions are a combination of the heat, the wind, and the extremely low humidity.
KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson tells me the humidity is staying so low, even overnight. The Monroe Canyon fire and other fires, they can keep burning hot all night long. That makes life extra difficult for firefighters trying to slow those fires down.
Matt says the smoke from the fires should mostly stay out of the Wasatch Front valleys as long as the wind keeps blowing from the southwest, pushing that smoke east. The search for a man accused of sexual assault at the University of Utah is over after Salt Lake City police found and detained him. A release from police says a suspect was found last night. He was accused of assaulting a woman riding a university shuttle bus. If you submitted DNA to 23andMe, you may want to safeguard your information now that the company is allowed to sell its genetic samples. KSL News Radio's Heather Kelly has details.
A press release from both the Utah Department of Commerce and the Attorney General was issued as an alert for 23andMe customers. First, the genetic genealogy company had a security breach 2 years ago, so $305 million has been put aside to pay claims made by those affected by the breach. Second, customers are allowed to delete their data at any time, and you can request destruction of your test sample. The sale of 23andMe will not be contested by Utah authorities, provided they ensure consumers' data is secure and there's no transfer of DNA information to outside companies. People are invited to go to the Utah Division of Consumer Protection website for more information of their rights. Heather Kelly, KSL News Radio.
Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is down by more than 300 points, sitting at 44,330. S&P 500 down by 26 and the NASDAQ down by 27 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Verl?
Well, Maria, delays continue to get longer and longer on eastbound I-84 in Morgan County due to a crash near the Taggart exit. Those delays start about the Morgan City exit and extend all the way up to where that crash happened, right around that Taggart exit. If you're on the Wasatch Front, though, things are looking good. I-15 north and southbound, just typical delays around southbound I-15 in the Kaysville Ponds Park area. Other than that, looking like a nice drive. Verl Johansson in the KSL Traffic Center.
And the forecast stays pretty much the same for the next 7 days, although it will start to get a little bit cooler after the next few. Today's high 99, right now 95 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
This Friday, join KSL News Radio in Hale Center Theater as the movie show broadcasts live at the theater beginning at 11 a.m. 9900 South Monroe Street in Sandy. 2026 season tickets go on sale this Friday, August 1st. If you're a current season ticket holder, you can renew your tickets now for the 2026 season before they go on sale to the general public August 1st. But beginning Friday, August 1st, 2026 season tickets go on sale to everyone. The 2026 season includes Peter Pan Goes Wrong, Hallmark, My Fair Lady, Harmony, Our Town, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, Ken Ludwig's Moriarty, and Anastasia. And playing now on the center stage is Footloose the Musical. Go to hct.org for the full schedule and more details, or call 801-984-9000. Don't miss your chance to get season tickets now for the 2026 season before they go on sale at hct.org.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're dedicated to serving people 50 and up like me. Our needs are different. Big Wireless wants us in an unlimited plan, but if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on affordable, reliable plans, including data that suits your needs, not ours. Our plans start at just $20, and you'll get the best customer service in the business.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/free. That's ziprecruiter.com/free.
You are listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos.
KSL.
It's almost time to kick off the college football season. Today is the start of fall camp. KSL TV sports anchor Sam Farnsworth joined me to talk about what to watch out for today as the football season gets underway.
The great thing about fall camp is it means football is back, right? We're still at the end of July, but it feels like football season's already here, right? Everyone's getting back to work. The NFL's been in training camp for over a week now. Now it's time for the college guys to get going. And we got the Utes, Cougars, and Aggies all with very exciting seasons coming up because there's just there's a lot of question marks that we're hoping to see answered this year about all three of those teams, but there's the potential that all three of those teams are pretty good teams that go to bowl games as well.
Mm-hmm. So what happens at fall camp?
So the way it works at fall camp is basically this is when they start to install every last bit of their playbooks. They get ready for, you get your two-a-day camps and things like that you're getting ready for the season opener. And so this is where the final position battles, if you have any of those going on, will take place, where they try to really set their depth chart. For example, in Provo, BYU this year, you've got a quarterback battle now with Jake Retzloff gone, and that's going to be the big storyline out of their fall camp. And so this is where you put all the last little bits together before the football season. This is where all the players on the roster come together for their practices before they kick off the first game of the year.
All right, focus on the U for a minute. What will you be watching for at the U?
At the University of Utah, a lot of questions surrounding what they're going to be doing on offense because they brought in a new offensive coordinator in Jason Beck from the University of New Mexico, a guy that is a former BYU football player and has worked with Bronco Mendenhall for years. Now he's on Coach Whittingham's staff calling the offense, and he brought with him a quarterback, Devin Dampier, and a lot of people are going to be curious to see how he can do. He was very good at New Mexico, but now he's going to be playing in a power conference with the University of Utah. Utah's defense is always going to be great. It should be great again this year. Last year, their biggest problem was their offense was struggling quite a bit. If they had an offense that could have scored 28 points a game, they probably would have won 10 games last year. Now they've got an offense that a lot of people are excited about. So if this offense can get clicking and get rolling, combined with the expected great defenses that Kyle Whittingham puts out there, this Utah team can suddenly be a contender for the Big 12 again.
You mentioned BYU and the departure of Jake Retzloff. What should we watch for at BYU?
So, with him out, there's suddenly this quarterback competition going on now, and McKay Hillstead and Trayson Bourget are the two guys that have already been with the program. They haven't played a bunch with the program, but they've been with the program that are going to be kind of front-running that competition. But then you've also got the freshman transfer from Stanford in Bear Bachmeier, who's also going to be in that mix for the starting job at quarterback. So, and that's one of those things, coaches, they won't give us any inkling as to which direction they're leaning. We probably won't know who that starting quarterback is going to be until the day of the first game. But that's the big question at BYU this year now is, okay, we've got this great defense coming back again that we had last year. They've got this great pass catching group that they had last year coming back. They've got a solid running back on offensive line. It's just who's going to be that quarterback, and can that quarterback lead them to wins? And so that's going to be the big storyline. Unfortunately, the answer to that, like I said, we probably won't have until the day of that first game.
Right. And what is happening at USU?
Well, Utah State, it's wow, a lot's happening, right? I mean, they bring in Bronco Mendenhall to be their head coach to kind of turn this program around, and Bronco's going to be an outstanding hire everywhere he's gone, whether it was BYU, Virginia, New Mexico, everywhere he's gone, he's taken those programs forward to bigger and better things. I expect nothing less than the same at Utah State. Unfortunately, this year, they have 87 new players on the roster. That's what happens when you get a new coach. That's what happens in this era of transfer portals. They have so many new faces that we really don't know what to expect on the field, but that's exactly the way Bronco wants it. He has had all of his practices closed to the media so far. He doesn't want anyone knowing exactly what they're doing, so that, I think, it's a little bit of that gamesmanship so that the opponent doesn't necessarily know what they're planning for. But I would expect Bronco and Utah State to be a pretty competitive team this year. I think 6 wins in a bowl game is very realistic for the Aggies.
All right. Sam, thanks so much for your time today.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
It's going to be an exciting season with both BYU and Utah gunning for their first Big 12 title. Speaking of football, turns out the football stadiums at BYU and the U are some of the best in the country. Rice-Eccles Stadium is number 18, with Lavelle Edwards Stadium just behind at number 22 in USA Today's college football stadium rankings. KSL BYU insider Mitch Harper says that's a big advantage for both schools.
It's a huge advantage for both of them because they have that 12th man element where they've got passionate fans, hostile environment that's tough to go to. You know, at Big 12 Media Day, a lot of players from opposing teams outside the state of Utah pointed to BYU Stadium or Utah Stadium as the toughest road environments they've been part of. So it's building a brand of tough environments to win at, and that can be big when trying to, become a championship title contender program like both are.
A combination of things set the two schools apart from the others, but the fans make a huge difference.
When Utah, renovated its stadium, in preparation for the 2002 Olympics, now 25 years ago, roughly, the shape of the stadium and then also the student section, that got created around Urban Meyer's time. And ever since then, that's kind of become an identity for Utah, with having that student section be very loud. Third down jump is a big thing for Utah, and just I think the passion too. Like Utah's had a lot of wins in that stadium, and I think that's generated a bigger football fan base for that program over the last 2 decades. So now it's become where every game's a sellout. It's a capacity crowd, 100% capacity, and that alone too, I think creates a loud environment that's difficult to play in.
And he says BYU has also been strategic about its marketing in recent years,
to where there's almost entertainment going from start to finish. Every timeout break, there's things to capture the attention of the fans and keep them energized. So it's becoming kind of a spectacle where you're getting the fans hyped up all throughout the game, and then they have their break between the third and fourth quarter where they've got fire dancers, Cosmo doing stunts. It's a whole big deal, and it just kind of energizes the fans. And like Utah, they got a rockin' student section with The Rock. That became a thing around 2014, and over the past decade, that's really grown to where students want to be part of that. So I think the common thread between the two places and universities, even though they're heated rivals, is that there's just tons of passion. And I think these universities and fan bases feel like they've been overlooked for so long in the college football world that it's almost like they go into these games wanting to, lift up their team, to lift them to great heights. And I think that's plays a role in all of this. And BYU had record sales and season tickets this year. And it's going to be another probably electric crowd every single week at BYU games at Lavelle Edwards Stadium this year as well.
Mitch Harper says building a strong home environment is key for the Cougars and the Utes as both teams battle to win the Big 12 Conference Championship. Midday with Maria Shilaos continues in just 60 seconds.
Summer is upon us, and do you know what your lawn wants? It wants Revive Organic Soil Treatment upon it. A Revive treatment with fertilization, aeration, and good watering is the key to building stronger roots for a healthy, lush green lawn all summer. Revive fertilizes and moves water and nutrients deeper into the soil. You'll see the difference. Revive is surefire defense against summer drought and skyrocketing water costs. Make the most of your watering with Revive Organic Soil Treatment. Apply Revive Organic Soil Treatment today. It works.
At Intermountain Health, we believe life is a circle. May yours surround you with insight, a healthy perspective, trust, and reassurance. The belief that our differences aren't that different, and compassion just when you need it most. Life is a circle. May yours help you live the healthiest life possible. Intermountain Health.
Even the toughest guys are no match for the sun. Doctors, cancer survivors, and brands are sounding the alarm, urging men to wear sunscreen and get regular skin cancer screenings. Melanoma, an aggressive form of skin cancer, is the most common cancer in the U.S., with nearly 10,000 new cases diagnosed daily. And the data shows that men are among the worst offenders of caring for their skin. ABC News medical contributor Dr. Darian Sutton details the rise in melanoma and how celebrities are using their platforms to spread awareness of skin cancer.
He's a wrestling superstar. John Cena can slam his opponents to the ground with ease. He's also one of Hollywood's most bankable celebrities, often playing up the macho.
I'm exercising the muscles in my face, making my face more muscular.
But it's the 48-year-old's latest role that has men talking.
Neutrogena Ultra Sheer Mineral Sunscreen.
The A-lister partnered with Neutrogena's sunscreen line with the message: even the toughest guys are no match for the sun. And he's living proof. In an interview with People magazine, Cena revealed he's been diagnosed with skin cancer twice, discovering melanoma on his chest and back. He blames not taking sun protection seriously.
Dr. Sutton says the gender disparity dealing with sun protection is staggering.
Daily sunscreen split along the gender line. One study from the CDC found that just 12% of men use sunscreen regularly, compared to almost a third of women. By age 65, men are twice as likely than women to develop melanoma. By age 80, that jumps to 2 to 3 times as likely. At one of the top cancer hospitals in the country, we meet a doctor and his patient.
We played baseball against each other. We were on different teams, and he ran his mouth so much.
Anthony didn't like me.
Yeah, so I was like
8th grade baseball.
Yeah.
You know, like
he said stuff about my mom. He's never even met my mom. Yeah.
This is recorded.
Yeah, I know.
They've known each other for a long time. Dermatologist Dr. Anthony Rossi and Stephen Palmisi's friendship began when they were kids, growing up on Staten Island.
What was skincare like in that time period?
Skincare was one-dimensional. It was if you're having acne outbreaks, you go to the dermatologist. You had a prescription for Retin-A, and that was it.
I'm from like a very Italian family who were always tan, and they would be like, "You need to go to the tanning salon because like you're so pale."
Was there any discussion about risk of sun damage?
There wasn't even a thought. It was I'd go out in the sun, I'm looking for a tan, going to the gym and looking good, and then having a tan that would enhance or sort of really show your muscles was kind of what the thought process was.
Dr. Rossi examined his friend's skin and discovered a concerning spot.
Said, "Hey, come in, we should take a look at what's on your leg."
That spot was melanoma. Stephen taking it as a wake-up call.
Now I'm consciously aware of my skin, always checking my moles, and now I have children, so I'm constantly checking my children as well.
Dr. Angelo Landricina is a board-certified dermatologist. He tells Dr. Sutton that men are more likely to get a wide variety of skin cancers, not just melanoma, and that you can get skin cancer even if you have naturally darker skin.
The most common cancer reported in the United States is basal cell carcinoma. Basal cell carcinoma tends to be more locally aggressive. Squamous cell carcinoma is probably the second most common type that we see. It does have a little bit of a larger tendency to be locally aggressive or metastasize. And then the third most common type that we see is melanoma. It is even more likely to cause problems throughout the body or to become deadly.
Am I at as much risk as my peers who are not black?
My patients of color, because certain types of melanoma, for instance, one called acrolentiginous melanoma, is more likely to come up in people of color. That's a melanoma that comes up on the palm of the hand or the sole of the foot and is typically very aggressive. Men are more likely to develop every single kind of the common skin cancers that we see.
Melanoma has a high survival rate, especially when caught early, but as with most things, prevention is better than treatment. Doctors say all people, especially men, should protect their skin by minimizing exposure to harmful UV rays. They recommend people wear a broad-spectrum sunscreen with an SPF of 30 or higher and reapply every 2 hours. They also recommend that you wear protective clothing, seek shade during sunny days, and avoid indoor tanning, and get regular skin exams. For those who might struggle with white coat syndrome, meaning you don't like the doctor, you can also conduct your own self-exams. For more information on the signs that you should look for, you can go to cdc.gov/skin-cancer. One food assistance program working to make farmers markets more accessible for Utah's low-income families. More on that after the break. But first, it's KSL Emergency Traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Verl?
Well, Maria, traffic is starting to move through on eastbound I-84 between Morgan and Croydon. Utah officials are still saying the canyon is closed due to that crash right around the Taggart's exit. So it's hard to say if they're moving through the canyon now as the crash is now cleared, or if they're just starting to take off just at that next exit in between Morgan City and Taggart's, and then going around on some local roads. We'll keep an eye on this. Then we also have a new crash in Salt Lake County, just off of westbound I-80 at 700 East. It's blocking the left shoulder, and a vehicle is turned sideways just up onto the sidewalk. But it doesn't seem to be causing any delays for traffic on southbound 700 East. The Good Feet store, supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Verl Johansson in the KSL Traffic Center.
AARP Utah is excited to share a big win for Utahns on their electric bill, thanks to the Public Service Commission's decision. Instead of the original crippling proposal of a 30% increase, your Rocky Mountain power bill will go up less than 5%. AARP Utah wants to thank over 3,000 of its members who stepped up to help. You used your voice and sent postcards addressing your concerns that were hand-delivered to the Commission. You made a difference. Your voices were heard. And thanks to you and other AARP Utah members, critical electricity for so many will remain on. Buildings will remain safe, cool, and the possible hardship for so many has been averted. AARP Utah also extends thanks to the Commission for protecting access to affordable energy programs critical to so many. To learn more about AARP Utah's work and how you can get involved, visit aarp.org/UT. That's aarp.org/UT.
Sign up for KSL Text Alerts. Get breaking news and traffic updates by texting the word news to 57500. Want access to exclusive contests? Text contest to 57500. Jazz fans, text the word jazz for breaking jazz updates. And Cougar fans, text BYU to 57500 for the latest on the Cougars. Message and data rates may apply.
You probably saved my life.
Every single day, Soda Weight Loss is helping people let go of the weight and keep it off.
I mean, I was 30 pounds overweight, and I went in, and the doctor said, you need to change your diet.
Get help and get started with Soda Weight Loss.
Got off my blood pressure medicine and my cholesterol medicine, and that is amazing to me.
I went from a 16, 18 down to a size 4 now. So that is amazing. It makes you feel so good.
Splash into summer savings right now with Soda's lowest prices of the year.
No injections, no pills, no hunger.
I would recommend Soda because it's sustainable. This is lifetime change.
I let go of 50 pounds. It felt unreal.
We're the #1 weight loss company in America for client satisfaction and results. And with our incredible summer savings, what are you waiting for?
Get help. Get results at SodaWeightLoss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
I am not a rich woman, but I feel like a rich woman every time I go in my closet. The best, hands down, present I've ever received was my husband secretly redid my closet with Closets by Design. So now when I go in there aren't all these shoes just junked on the floor. They're neatly sitting on their shelves. And my necklaces are hanging on their individual hooks, and earrings are in their little squares in this soft drawer that pulls out. It's just gorgeous. In fact, he saw how much I loved it. He had Closets by Design redo the garage. So now all the stuff, the tools, the toys, the junk is all in cabinets. When you open our garage door, you see cars. That's it. It's amazing. The things that Closets by Design can do, and it's going to save you money right now because you get up to 40% off plus an additional 15% off with 18-month financing. You can do so much with your closet, much more than you realize, with this wonderful Utah company, Closets by Design. Find out more at 1-800-BY-DESIGN or closetsbydesign.com.
This is Midday with Maria Shilaos. Farmers markets used to be the best time to get fresh, affordable produce. Over the years, though, they've become more expensive, boutique type of shopping experiences. And that leaves some low-income Utahns unable to buy fresh produce at those markets. A SNAP program is trying to solve that problem. The Double Up program not only makes the markets more accessible, it also supports the local growers.
The basic premise is that you use your SNAP benefits at the farmer's market, and then the farmer's market will match, and in this case, 2-to-1, benefits up to $20, and then you can use those additional benefits to buy produce. So it's really a way to encourage and incentivize people who are on SNAP to eat healthier. But the other benefit is that it also supports local agriculture, and those dollars tend to stay in the economy longer.
Utahns Against Hunger Executive Director Gina Cornea tells KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis, under the Double Up program, those with SNAP benefits receive $2 for every $1 they decide to spend at the participating markets.
The markets have an information booth, then they have a point of sale machine. They run the SNAP card on that point of sale machine, and they withdraw $10. They'll get 10 wooden coins for their SNAP benefits. And then they'll get the additional 20, which are green tokens, which then can be used to buy produce. And then they use that like cash with the vendors, these little tokens that are $1 each.
Cornea says while they advocate for food security, this program also allows for a wider range of people to feel included.
The feedback we get is so great. And I remember I used to volunteer at the downtown farmers market, and we would have regular customers who would come and, but occasionally we'd get somebody who'd only been there the first time, and they saw our booth and it's like, oh, I can use my food stamp benefits. And, people feel really included. They feel part of the community. They don't feel like it's so inaccessible. And, I think that we talk a lot about access to food, and obviously that's huge and very important. But I think one of the things that we underappreciate is that feeling of inclusiveness. If you want to go somewhere but you don't feel like you fit in, or you go and you can't participate, that is really isolating. And you feel like you don't necessarily belong to the community. And this is a way for people to feel like they can participate, to be part of the community. And especially farmers markets, people feel really personal about them, and they feel really invested in supporting certain vendors and things like that. And that is another, benefit of this program, is it just helps us have a more inclusive community.
Utahns Against Hunger Executive Director Gina Cornea telling us about a program that allows people who benefit from food stamps to buy fresh produce at the local farmers markets.
KSL FM Midvale. KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio,
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The state is preparing for an execution by firing squad. The public left in the dark about the members of that firing squad.
This is a government function using taxpayer funds, and the public deserves to understand all of the details associated with this decision and these executions.
The time is 2 o'clock on Wednesday, July 30th. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, KSL investigates the process, which appears to be clouded in secrecy. Also this hour,
if you hear the sirens or anything like that, don't dilly-dally, just get out of there.
Millions of people around the Pacific Ocean under tsunami warnings all night. Will go in depth on the earthquake that caused that warning. But first, our top stories. Turns out Snapchat could be more addictive and harmful for young users than we thought. That's what Utah is arguing in its lawsuit against the social media platform, revealed in previously redacted documents released this week. Executive Director of Utah's Department of Commerce, Margaret Bussey, told Inside Sources that Snapchat knows how addictive its features are.
They know how unsafe their platform is in terms of the number of sex extortion acts that are going on, the easy access to drug sales, all of those things. They know how unsafe it is. They know how addictive it is, and they are doubling down.
Bussey says that Utah kids from the ages of 13 to 17 visit the app about 70 times per day. Our top national story from ABC News, GDP came out higher than expected for the second quarter. The Commerce Department says the GDP rose 3% from April to June, but economists say that number only tells a portion of the story.
We saw a substantial drop in imports in the second quarter. That helped to drive GDP growth, and that's really partly due because a lot of businesses front-loaded their purchases of foreign goods in the first quarter to get ahead of the tariffs.
ABC's Alexis Christophorous says businesses are playing it safe due to uncertainty that could come out of President Trump's tariff policies. Interest rates will stay where they are for at least another month. The Federal Reserve voted to leave them unchanged at the end of their two-day meeting. 2 of the 11 committee members voted to cut rates, the first time since 1993 that there has been disagreement. And taking a look at your money at this moment, at the close, the Dow down by 171 points, sitting at 44,461. The S&P down by about 8 points, and the NASDAQ up by 32 points. A Utah SNAP program is creating a more inclusive environment around the state's farmers markets. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis has more.
The Double Up Bucks program is meant to encourage people on SNAP to eat healthy, locally grown products. Through it, a person on SNAP can get $2 for produce for every $1 spent at a farmer's market. But Utahns Against Hunger Executive Director Gina Cornea says this isn't the only benefit. She says by taking some of the financial stress off those who want to go to the market, they're able to participate more freely and feel more like part of the community. She says many people have certain vendors and products they want to support, and this gives them that opportunity.
Cornea says it's not just benefiting those on SNAP, it's also helping vendors since the extra money and demand allow them to keep running longer and expanding their services. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Verl, still in emergency traffic?
Still emergency traffic, but good news is that UDOT has opened one lane of eastbound I-84 between Morgan and Croydon as they still work to clean up a crash from earlier this afternoon. So delays are getting better as traffic is starting to move through that left lane. The right lane's still closed, but it's still backed up about a couple miles up in eastbound I-84 in Morgan County. On the Wasatch Front, though, we're starting to see some slowdowns on northbound I-15 between the 201 freeway interchange with I-15 and about the Fear Factory. There's no crash in the area, just seeing some heavier congestion there. Other than that, though, it's looking like a nice drive I-15 north or southbound. Wasatch Front businesses and property managers. Go Pave Utah provides all asphalt repairs for your parking. For patching and paving along the Wasatch Front, contact Go Pave Utah. GoPaveUtah.com. Earl Johansson in the KSL Traffic Center.
And taking a look at the forecast for the Wasatch Front, it's staying pretty much the same for the next 7 days. Highs in the high to low 90s for the next 7 days. Today's high 99, right now 95 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply, stop to opt out.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country. When you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
Connect with a local divorce attorney today. Text Office 44 to 32 32 32. Office 44 to 32 32 32. CordellCordell.com.
The wait is over. After 2 years of renovation, the perfect downtown lunch spot is now open. The Garden Restaurant offers a beautifully designed space and deliciously fresh menu. It's close to everything downtown next to the Temple Square block. If you need something quick and on the go, or to meet a client, friend, or place to relax, The Garden Restaurant offers healthy options like handcrafted sandwiches, soups, unique salads, plus traditional favorites like homemade pot pies and the famous Lion House rolls. The Garden's new look and tasty menu offers something for everyone, featuring dine-in, patio seating, lobby seating, and grab-and-go or quick online ordering. Visit the Garden today. Reimagine space with remarkable taste. Easy street access on the ground floor of the Joseph Smith Memorial Building, open weekdays 11 to 3. Check out the menu at thegardenslc.com. Fresh flavors, iconic location. The Garden Restaurant is now open. See you there.
Thanks for tuning in to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Lawyers for death row inmate Ralph Menzies continue their push for Menzies to avoid the firing squad. He's scheduled to be put to death on behalf of the state on September 5th. While the legal process continues to play out, the Utah Department of Corrections is busy preparing for his execution. All this preparation happening behind the scenes. KSL investigator Daniela Rivera dug into the more secretive nature of Utah's execution process.
The death penalty is obviously a controversial issue.
A controversial issue Utah's legislature and governor decided to make more secretive in 2024.
State law prohibits us from revealing the identity of anyone who participates in an execution team.
Glenn Mills with Utah's Department of Corrections says that includes the 8-member execution team needed for a death by firing squad, 1 team leader, 2 alternates, and 5 shooters. Under Utah law, the public won't know who they are, just like the public didn't know who participated in an execution by lethal injection last year, or where the drugs purchased with $200,000 taxpayer dollars came from.
Well, the secrecy that states choose to surround their protocol, their procedures, their decision-making behind is really inconsistent with all of the values that we value in a democratic society.
Robin Mars with the Death Penalty Information Center, a nonprofit tracking capital punishment across the country. They don't take a position on the death penalty, but they do believe the public has a right to know about how the government is exercising perhaps its most serious and consequential power, the power to take a life.
This is a government function using taxpayer funds, and the public deserves to understand all of the details associated with this decision and these executions.
Mills says the protection built into the law for people involved in executions is critical to carrying them out.
You really can't even do business if people fear that their name is potentially going to be out there.
Well, there's really no empirical evidence. There's no examples at all of anyone being targeted for harassment for participating in executions.
What do we know? According to corrections policy, members of the firing squad must be certified peace officers, demonstrate firearm proficiency, and pass mental strength tests.
That is KSL investigator Daniela Rivera reporting. Menzies' execution date is scheduled for Friday, September 5th. Another motorcycle death overnight, continuing a deadly trend of crashes involving motorcycles this summer. The crash last night on Redwood Road in South Jordan took the life of a 31-year-old man. South Jordan Police Master Officer Sean Becker says the motorcycle collided with an SUV that was trying to turn into a Smith's parking lot.
We did attempt to have a helicopter land to get him out of here, but they ended up throwing him in an ambulance as quickly as possible and taking off with him. Emotional for those that were involved in the accident, officers that were arriving, a lot of destruction. That SUV's entire passenger side very damaged. The motorcycle obviously destroyed. The driver was wearing a helmet, and that helmet was wedged into the passenger side of the vehicle.
Becker says the rider died at the hospital. The SUV driver stayed on the scene and cooperated with police. Becker says they believe speed was a factor in that crash, but it's unclear if the speed was on the part of the SUV or the motorcycle. This is now the 6th fatal motorcycle crash in South Jordan this year. The rising number of deadly motorcycle crashes across the state this year is highlighting the need for better education both for drivers and the motorcyclists themselves. Lieutenant Cam Roden with the Utah Highway Patrol says there are a few reasons contributing to the rise in deadly crashes.
We've been looking at the contributors, and there's a lot of people. We have an awesome state to go out and ride in, and so the popularity of motorcycles. Whether there's a trend in that going up, but as far as looking at the specifics of why motorcycles are being involved in these type of crashes, we kind of split them into two different categories because they're pretty close to half and half. We've got just under 50% of our motorcycle fatalities are just a single rider that crashes and no other vehicles are involved. And that other half, a little over half, accounts for multiple vehicles involved in a crash. And when we look at just the single vehicle, no other riders or no other vehicles involved, a lot of those contributors are speed related. It can be alcohol and drug related. We are also seeing experience play a part of that, where you have a person who may not be experienced in riding a motorcycle or may not have the experience on a specific style of motorcycle. They either step up or to a different type of motorcycle and aren't familiar with it and crash. So that's that side. But when you start looking at other motor vehicles involved in these crashes, we're starting to see things like, failure to keep in your proper lane, where a motorcycle may be in a blind spot, or a motorcycle may actually change lanes and hit another vehicle. We're also seeing a lot of crashes at intersections where failure to yield.
What can you do to help lower that rising rate of death? Lieutenant Roden says it'll take more awareness and diligence from both drivers and motorcyclists.
For motorists, you need to do everything you can. Double check that blind spot before you change lanes, because you never know when that harder to see motorcycle could be right there off your back bumper. At an intersection, check twice, check 3 times if you need to, for a motorcycle that could be approaching the intersection. And sometimes gauging that motorcycle's distance from the intersection may be a little bit different than other vehicles, so really check for them. But for motorcyclists, get as much education as you can and experience on a bike as you can, but then wear the protective gear that's going to help keep you safe.
Lieutenant Roden says one of the biggest things that motorists should do when around motorcycles is provide a lot of space. Give them as much room as possible. Stay with us. We'll be back with more in just 60 seconds.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com, sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
The Salt Lake City School Board is working on finding a replacement after a member agreed to resign their post as part of a plea deal. Now, the plea deal follows charges against Mohammed Baid, who is accused of trying to bribe his opponent into dropping out of last year's race. Baid was also ordered to pay a fine. Now the board is working to find someone before the school year starts, and state statute makes that process pretty simple. Salt Lake City School District spokesperson Yandri Chatwin tells KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla that it will be an application and interview process.
In state statute, the process is actually pretty straightforward on what we need to do. So we are ready. As soon as we determine the timeline, we will post the vacancy, and people in Salt Lake who live in Precinct 5 and are interested can start applying for that seat.
Do you happen to know what area Precinct 5 is?
Yeah, it covers, I don't know the exact boundaries, but it covers generally the ballpark neighborhood, kind of the 9th and 9th area. So very critical neighborhood in our city.
Chatwin says candidates will also have to certify that they have never been convicted of a felony or a crime against a child.
Once we have all the information figured out and a timeline and applications ready to go, we will post that on our website. So anyone in the community in Precinct 5 who is interested in that seat, just keep tabs on the district website, slcschools.org, for more information in the coming week.
The new member will serve until December 2026, when the seat will be up for grabs again. Two Utah companies are working to help kids who don't have enough food at home as those kids get ready to go back to school. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has more.
Volunteers with Young Automotive Group and America First Credit Union are working to make just over 17,000 meal kits for kids in the Davis School District who are in need of food over the weekend when they don't have access to school meals. Young Caring for Our Young Foundation Director Kelly Belknap tells me they'll send these kits to the Bountiful Food Pantry, who she says have a big demand to fill.
It's actually 3,600 is what they plan on every single weekend. That's a mass amount of kids that we need to worry about.
Belknap says one of the reasons they got involved in this is to not only help feed kids, but help them learn better.
If they're worried about what they don't have to wear, or that they're not looking good at school, right? Or if they're hungry, they're not going to learn as well.
And they're hoping this influx of meal kits can help families get through the hectic pace of the back-to-school season. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
More details coming to light today in the deadly New York City shooting. We'll get an update from ABC in just a few minutes. But first, it's KSL Traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Verl.
Well, Maria, we've still got stop-and-go traffic from about Morgan City on eastbound I-84 to the Taggart's exit, as UDOT has reduced it down to just one lane. That is a little bit better than about 15 minutes ago when I-84 eastbound was closed entirely between Morgan and Croydon. But traffic is starting to move along. Really, it's just kind of stop and go from Morgan all the way to Croydon there. On the Wasatch Front, things are looking a little bit better. We've got typical slowdown southbound I-15 in Kaysville due to those lane restrictions and construction in that area. Then we've got some slowdowns northbound I-15 right around the 1300 south exit, though that seems to be cleared out pretty well. We've also got one more crash on 700 East in Salt Lake City as you're approaching the westbound on-ramp to I-80, blocking the right shoulder and a little bit of the sidewalk. Wasatch Front businesses and property managers, GoPave Utah provides all asphalt repairs for your parking. For patching and paving along the Wasatch Front, contact GoPave Utah. GoPaveUtah.com. Verl Johansson in the KSL Traffic Center.
Listen to KSL for the new and traditional content you've always loved. There's the new Inside Sources, expanded from 9 to noon, and new expanded news coverage with Maria Shilaos on midday, noon to 3. And of course, the news and weather from voices you love, mornings and afternoons. Here are new traditions and the familiar ones on KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
This Friday, join KSL News Radio and Hale Center Theater as the movie show broadcasts live at the theater beginning at 11 a.m. 9900 South Monroe Street in Sandy. 2026 season tickets go on sale this Friday, August 1st. If you're a current season ticket holder, you can renew your tickets now for the 2026 season before they go on sale to the general public August 1st. But beginning Friday, August 1st, 2026 season tickets go on sale to everyone. The 2026 season includes Peter Pan Goes Wrong, Hallmark, My Fair Lady, Harmony, Our Town, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, Ken Ludwig's Moriarty, and Anastasia. And playing now on the center stage is Footloose the Musical. Go to hct.org for the full schedule and more details, or call 801-984-9000. Don't miss your chance to get season tickets now for the 2026 season before they go on sale at hct.org.
You worked hard for your 401k, but if you've left your job, your money might be sitting in the wrong hands. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and it's very possible that the 401k that you have had for years has hidden fees and limited investment choices. But if you're no longer with the company, that 401k may be at the mercy of your former employer. All of these things could be costing you thousands. Rolling over your 401k into an IRA can provide better investment options that align with your long-term goals. At Trajan Wealth, we're fiduciary advisors that are held to a higher standard with no hidden agenda and no hidden fees. Don't let your retirement dollars sit in an old plan, and don't roll it over to your new plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Advisory services are offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment.
Your electric bill is going to be higher for summer, but not if you get new windows from Advanced Window Products. State-of-the-art double-pane windows and insulated frames, any style, any color, from a company that's been building them right here in Salt Lake City for 39 years. Not only are you buying local, but you're cutting out the middleman because they're the factory. You save 30, even 40% on your new windows, and you get a lifetime guarantee from a trusted local company. If there's a problem 5 years from now, they come right over and get things straight. And right now, you can save even more. If you call Advanced Windows for a quote, they'll give you an extra $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Advanced Windows offers buy now, pay later. They have 60-month 0% financing. They always work out affordable payments, plus $2,500 off. So get your new windows for summer. Make the call now, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or you can go to advancedwindows.com.
You probably saved my life.
Every single day, Soda Weight Loss is helping people let go of the weight and keep it off.
I mean, I was 30 pounds overweight, and I went in, and the doctor said, you need to change your diet.
Get help and get started with Soda Weight Loss.
Got off my blood pressure medicine and my cholesterol medicine, and that is amazing to me.
I went from a 16, 18 down to a size 4 now. So that is amazing. It makes you feel so good.
Splash into summer savings right now with Soda's lowest prices of the year.
No injections, no pills, no hunger.
I would recommend Soda because it's sustainable. This is lifetime change.
I let go of 50 pounds. It felt unreal.
We're the #1 weight loss company in America for client satisfaction and results. And with our incredible summer savings, what are you waiting for?
Get help, get results at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
You're listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. New York police continue to investigate the Manhattan shooting that left 4 people, including an NYPD officer, dead. On the Start Here podcast, ABC's Brad Milkey and Eric Katursky have the latest on the mass shooting and what led to the shooter's actions.
When gunshots rang out in a New York City office building Monday evening, you could feel the panic in Midtown Manhattan. Police arrived, weapons drawn. People came running out of buildings with their hands up. Inside the skyscraper known as 345 Park Avenue, we saw office furniture desperately piled up against doors. And on the 33rd floor, police found a blood-stained rifle, which a gunman had used to kill 4 people and then himself.
One person was struck and killed on that floor. He then proceeds down a hallway and shoots himself in the chest.
All the details here were horrifying, but I remember one that sounded particularly odd. After shooting his way through security and making his way to the offices of a real estate management company, the gunman shot himself in the chest. Remember, this was a semi-automatic rifle, a long gun. Shooting one's own chest would be difficult and even more painful than the alternative. So why? Well, the most high-profile example I could think of this was retired football players who have suffered traumatic brain injuries. Some, in the throes of suicide, deliberately shot themselves in the chest so that their brains could be studied.
NFL great Junior Seau, 43 years old, dead of a gunshot wound to the chest.
Well, yesterday morning, New York authorities said they had made a discovery. This shooter had suffered brain injuries himself. He apparently targeted this building not because it was the home to a real estate management company, but because it was home to the NFL. ABC's chief investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky is here. He actually spoke with New York City's Mayor Eric Adams one-on-one about all this. But Aaron, first off, what have we learned about the victims here? Because their identities are becoming more clear.
They are, Brad, and they're from different walks of life. The NYPD officer who was on the force about 3.5 years, has 2 boys and his wife pregnant with a 3rd child. There was a high-powered executive at Blackstone, the investment firm, who was a mother of 2 and seemingly just in the wrong place at the wrong time. There was a graduate of Cornell, a young person working at the real estate firm, the Rudin firm, which is the owner of the building. And there was a security guard who was doing his job and ended up trying to hide behind a desk in the face of such high-powered weaponry that this shooter brought to 345 Park Avenue.
Hey, and I mean, we had all been wondering what was going through this shooter's mind. Mayor Adams, in his conversation with you, kind of attempted to answer that.
He did, and investigators are not ready to firmly detail a motive, but they think they're close. There was a note that was found in the shooter's pocket, and the mayor went through it with us, and it's 3 pages, handwritten. It's not necessarily 3 coherent pages. They're a bit disjointed, but they mention CTE.
CTE stands for chronic traumatic encephalopathy. You're right that it can only be diagnosed with autopsy.
Traumatic brain injury. They mention football. They mention the NFL.
You believe that the NFL was the target here. Why is that?
We're far from the investigation to finalize exactly what happened. We're looking at his note that talked about CTE.
And it appears, according to the mayor, that he targeted the NFL because he somehow believed that the league may have been responsible for his traumatic brain injury.
But it is far from conclusive. We're still looking to determine if that's the case.
While the shooter played football in high school, he never played as a pro. He played in California, and his teammates called him a talented running back.
When I knew him, I mean, he was a great teammate. He was a great guy in general. He never really, he didn't cause any problems actually at all in the locker room or on the field. He was just a guy that really enjoyed the sport.
But he never played professionally, and we don't know whether he had any kind of a brain injury. The autopsy results are not complete. A portion of the note that we had a look at said, "Study my brain, please. I'm sorry."
Wow. And I mean, there have been critics of the NFL who have said that they've sort of made this the most popular sport in the country, and that has sort of encouraged a whole generations of people to put their brains at risk. But again, no clear connection to the league itself here. What other incidents, though, stand out about his past, I guess, Aaron?
There are a couple, Brad. One, he worked as a security guard of some kind at the Horseshoe Casino in Las Vegas. That's where he was living before he drove cross-country over a couple of days. His black BMW spotted in Colorado on Saturday, and then in Nebraska and Iowa on Sunday, before spotted in New Jersey on Monday, and he crossed into New York City less than 2 hours before the shooting rampage. But it was at the Horseshoe Casino where someone that he worked with actually purchased the lower receiver of the M4 style weapon that he brought with him to 345 Park Avenue. And the authorities are trying to determine how he got the other components. They also found a .357 caliber revolver in his car. That was legally purchased because he had a concealed carry permit issued by the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department in 2022. That was the same year, Brad, that there were the first of at least 2 calls associated with the shooter for a person in mental health distress.
All right, so we'll see what happened with him. Last question, Aaron. Does this... I know that we don't know everything about his past or everything about his specific circumstances, but does this create a bigger concern for the NFL? Because this is not the first time someone has killed themselves saying that football destroyed my brain. And if people start targeting your employees, of course, that becomes a whole other level.
And the NFL isn't really touching that at this stage, Brad. But we did get some information that the league is committed to studying traumatic brain injury and taking steps to protect players, in regard for their long-term health. And they're focused, of course, on the shooting. The offices are closed. New York-based employees are working from home. There was someone who worked from the NFL that was shot, so they're focused there. But, Brad, this is also, I think, another in a series of high-profile entities being targeted by somebody who believes that that the entity had done them wrong, rightly, wrongly, mentally ill or not, and that has to be concerning for any big public corporation.
That is ABC's Aaron Katursky and Brad Milkey on the Start Here podcast. President Trump expected to speak shortly on a new initiative to improve the healthcare experience. He's calling it Make Health Tech Great Again. It would have millions of Americans upload personal health data and medical records on new apps and systems run by private tech companies, promising that it will make it easier to access health records and monitor wellness. We will continue to watch this. It's 2:30 midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. A major 8.8 earthquake rocking eastern Russia and parts of Japan. We will talk with a seismologist about it. A tsunami from that quake causing damage in a small northern California town. And KSL traffic.
Just one lane of traffic moving through eastbound I-84 between Morgan and Croydon due to an earlier crash. Maria?
KSL's top local stories coming up in 1 minute. First, the latest from ABC News.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. In Colorado, a jury has convicted Dennis James Craig in the murder of his wife, Angela, in 2023.
We, the jury, unanimously and beyond a reasonable doubt, find the defendant, James Craig, guilty of murder in the first degree.
Craig was found guilty of poisoning his wife's protein drinks with cyanide and an ingredient found in eye drops. The defense claimed Craig's cheating led to his wife's being suicidal and argued James assisted in her suicide. In Nebraska, a father and his 2 daughters were killed in a large explosion at Horizon Biofuels in Fremont. That's about 40 miles outside Omaha. The plant makes fuel pellets and animal bedding. The cause of the explosion remains under investigation. The mayor says the daughters were waiting for their dad to go to a doctor's appointment. The Federal Reserve Board today keeping interest rates unchanged. Fed Chair Jerome Powell says the overall economy remains strong, even as the board watches to see how tariffs will impact inflation. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. The Monroe Canyon fire is now less contained than it was before, burning 36,000 acres and counting with just 11% containment. That's down about 5% from yesterday. Christine Diamond owns Tony's Bakery in Monroe.
I can see it right there. It is awful. The ashes are coming down like snow. One of the coworkers that work here, she had 2 small cabins. They're gone.
Fire officials are planning a community meeting tonight in Richfield to update the neighbors. Much of central and southern Utah remains under a red flag warning for the 6th day in a row. We are now learning the identities of 2 motorcyclists that have died in recent separate crashes. The 40-year-old Harley-Davidson rider who died when another car tried to turn left on SR 89 near the junction of SR 6 last Thursday is being identified as Brian Ezell from Helper. On the same day, there was a motorcycle crash in Blacksmith Fork Canyon. Authorities say the rider wasn't able to make the turn and went off the road into a river. He has now been identified as 19-year-old Tegan Swanepoel from Preston, Idaho. The Salt Lake City School District is working to replace a board member, Mohammed Baid, after he agreed to resign as part of a plea deal. Baid tried to bribe his opponent to drop out of the race for the seat last year. Salt Lake City School District spokesperson Yandri Chatwin says the process for finding a new member is pretty straightforward and will be just an application and interview process.
Once that person is appointed, they will serve through November of 2026 when they will need to run for election, or if they choose not to run, the seat will be open and someone else can decide to run.
The application process is set to start in the next few weeks. The sale of DNA information held by the bankrupt genealogy company 23andMe has Utah officials issuing an alert to consumers. KSL News Radio's Heather Kelly has more.
A joint press release from the Utah Attorney General and Utah Department of Commerce lets people know they have the right to have their DNA samples destroyed. Also, a data breach happened in 2023, and anyone affected by it could be entitled to a piece of a $305 million fund for those who make a claim.
The press release also states if 23andMe safeguards consumers' data, the sale won't be contested. Taking a look at your money at this moment at the close, the Dow was down 171 points, sitting at 44,461. S&P down by about 8 points, and the NASDAQ, it was up by 31 points. Traffic and weather is brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion, the latest on this emergency traffic situation with Virl Johansson.
Well, Marie, we're still seeing plenty of stop-and-go traffic eastbound in I-84 in Morgan County as traffic is reduced just to 1 lane right around the Taggartsville exit the Taggarts exit due to an earlier crash. The good news is it's opened up to 1 lane again. Earlier it was closed entirely. Now it's just 1 lane. That stop-and-go traffic goes all the way back to about Morgan City. Then on the Wasatch Front, we've got another crash on I-2 215 northbound, blocking the California Avenue exit and the right lane. Those slowdowns started about the 201 freeway and extend all the way up to California Avenue. Then we're starting to see some slowdowns southbound I-15 and Draper, starting at about 123rd south, all the way to about the point of the mountain. No crash in that area, though. Wasatch Front businesses and property managers, Go Pave Utah provides all asphalt repairs for your parking. For patching and paving along the Wasatch Front, contact Go Pave Utah. GoPaveUtah.com. Burl Johansson in the KSL Traffic Center.
And our temperature is staying in the high 90s for the next few days. Then it looks like it will start to go down on Saturday, down to the low 90s, and no chance of rain. Right now, 97 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The source is where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Any Hour Services can make sure your AC keeps you cool this summer. Whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they helped me. They calmed me down. They made me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
You're listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. A massive 8.8 earthquake rocking eastern Russia and causing a tsunami warning across the Pacific. Security footage capturing the moment that quake struck. Joining me now to talk more about this quake is Keith Koper. He is the director of University of Utah Seismograph Stations. Keith, thanks for being with me. Now, this quake went from an 8.0 to an 8.7, 8.8. Can you remind our listeners how the reading can change after the quake is already done?
Yeah, what happens is more data. It takes, it can take several hours for all the data to show up. And so what happens is, we try to get a magnitude out as soon as possible, but we refine it over time just as more of the seismic data becomes available. And so you're right. Right now, it seems that it's settled in at about an 8.8, which, of course, is giant.
Yeah, I was going to say, put it in perspective for us. I don't remember the last time I heard of an 8.8.
Yeah, it's one of the top 10 biggest earthquake that's ever been recorded. So there was a magnitude 9 earthquake that happened in 1952, almost in this exact same place. So it's not completely unexpected, but an earthquake like this is only going to happen every decade or a couple decades. So it's quite unusual.
So tell us about the fault that this quake happened on.
It's what we call a subduction zone. So it's a thrust fault, and it's basically 600 kilometers long. So it's quite long, and there's part of the Pacific Plate, which is a big tectonic, piece of the crust, and it's basically rubbing up against Asia and sort of subducting or diving underneath that continent, and that's why you have sort of these volcanoes that are just sort of adjacent to where this earthquake happened.
Right. Any idea how far away this quake was felt?
Oh, I think it was felt, let's see. So I think it was felt at least 1,000 kilometers away, and it's being recorded. It's big enough that it's being recorded all over the world. So, basically the Earth is going to continue ringing or sort of shaking for probably a couple months. And nobody can feel that. It's quite small. It's on the order of sort of nanometers or billionth of a meter. But when you have an earthquake this big, the ground is going to keep shaking and moving for quite a long time.
Okay. Now, you mentioned this volcanic area. We are seeing reports that a volcano erupted after that quake. So did it trigger that, or how is it connected?
Yeah, it's unclear. The relationship between these giant earthquakes and the volcanoes is it's still not well understood. So there probably is some relationship. We certainly see little tiny earthquakes that happen sometimes right before an eruption. But it is possible that the stresses and the shaking from the earthquake actually did have some connection to the volcanic eruption.
Okay, so talk to me a bit about the ring of fire that exists around the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, so this is an area where we get all these giant earthquakes. So, for instance, Alaska is part of it. Japan, if you remember the big earthquake in 2011, in South America, so along the west coast. So sort of Chile and Argentina, these are all similar faults. And again, it's one of these subduction zones. And so the crust, this big tectonic block, is sort of running into an adjacent block and sort of diving underneath. And this is where we get the world's biggest earthquakes. And as you mentioned, we get the volcanoes as well. And so that's, and because it's sort of around the border of the Pacific, sort of in a circular shape. That's why it's called Ring of Fire.
All right. Thank you so much for being with me. That is Keith Coper. He's the director of the University of Utah Seismograph Stations. In just 60 seconds, we'll talk about the tsunami generated from the quake. Stay with us.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com, sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit info kit. 800-486-9600. That's 800-486-9600.
Tsunami waves have been hitting the U.S. West Coast for hours, causing minor damage in California. They came from an 8.8 magnitude quake off the coast of Russia yesterday. ABC's Alex Stone is in Los Angeles.
In many areas now, like in Hawaii, tsunami warnings have been downgraded and evacuation warnings have been dropped. Early this morning, people began going home. At this point, there is no known damage in the U.S., and there was no massive wave or series of waves like you'd think of in Fukushima in 2011 or in Southeast Asia in 2004. Sensors have picked up some waves of like 4 or 5 feet, but they've been mostly very small. There will be an assessment done in places like Crescent City in far northern California near the Oregon border. That's often prone to tsunami damage in that area because of geography, but so far no damage is being reported anywhere in the U.S.
Alex Stone just mentioned one town that is prone to tsunami damage, Crescent City, California. Midday executive producer Andy Cupp is actually from that town. He grew up there. And Andy, that means you didn't get much sleep last night.
No, I did not.
Tell us a little bit more about what happened since that alert went out yesterday. Is your family okay?
Yeah, my family's fine. My parents and my grandparents live outside of the tsunami evacuation zone. But like you said, I stayed up way past midnight, way longer than I should have, streaming the local radio station there, watching reports from the National Weather Service. Parts of the town, which is about 7,000 people or so, were evacuated overnight. Beaches and parks along the ocean are still empty today due to ongoing waves. Fishing boats headed out to sea throughout the night, finding safety on the open water. Crescent City and Del Norte counties were the last part of the United States to be under a tsunami warning, the highest level of an alert for a tsunami. That was just finally downgraded to an advisory late this morning. Matthew Kidwell with the National Weather Service in Eureka, California, says people in Crescent City still need to be aware of the potential dangers that might still happen.
Strong currents through the day. I would expect through a lot of the day, you'll need to be especially cautious of the ocean.
And the harbor master in Crescent City, Mike Rademacher, says that a dock was washed away by the waves several feet high.
As the water levels continued to rise, the structure was unable to adjust
and the decking became lodged on the pilings and was eventually submerged, and this resulted in major structural failure and complete separation of the dock.
A local news outlet called Redwood Voice reported overnight that a small fire had broken out near that dock as well, but it was quickly put out.
Okay, just a single dock destroyed. Not as bad as it could have been, right?
Exactly, and it's always better to be safe than sorry in these situations. You know, this area of California is known as a tsunami magnet. So in 1964, 29 city blocks, hundreds of buildings were destroyed late in the night on Good Friday by a tsunami that had been generated by a 9.2 earthquake in Alaska. 11 people lost their lives in that one. And then I was actually living in Crescent City in 2011 when the Sendai earthquake from Japan sent a tsunami all the way across the ocean. The town was evacuated then, schools canceled, roads closed. Fishing boats tried to leave the harbor before the waves came in, and not all were able to do so. I remember seeing video of the last fishing boat that was trying to make it out, and you could see it trying to get over the surges as the waves were coming in and pounding the harbor. It was only about 8-foot surges, so it doesn't sound like a huge thing, but that completely destroyed the harbor, along with a lot of fishing boats, causing about $50 million of damage. One person did die in that tsunami, being swept out to sea near the mouth of the Klamath River.
The tsunami warnings, advisories from this quake stretched around the Pacific Ocean late into the night. Now, luckily, coastal communities didn't see any major damage, and in the U.S., no one reported to have died.
Yeah, and there are tsunami warning systems all over the rings of fire, as you were just talking about. For people who've never lived on the coast, or for people who do like to go and visit the coast, there's a lot of things you should be looking for and paying attention to when you're visiting there, regardless of how long you're visiting. For my travels, you'll usually see signs that you're entering a town that say something like Tsunami Ready Community. That's a really good sign that this area has been hit by tsunamis before. When you get to those places, though, look for those tsunami evacuation route signs. They will be everywhere, and you will see them off of the main roads, and they will tell you where to go in case something happens. And so you want to be looking for those well ahead of time, as soon as you get there, because when something happens, you don't want to be looking around trying to figure out where those signs are. And then when a tsunami warning happens, you'll usually hear loud sirens, and nowadays you'll even get a push alert to your cell phone telling you to get to high ground. Highway signs tend to display a bunch of warnings as well, and law enforcement, this is a really cool thing. They will go out of their way to the beaches to make sure no one is down there. So they kind of put themselves in harm's way to make sure that no one else is down there. It's a whole process, but a lot of these communities are familiar with this. I know in my hometown, they did monthly tsunami tests so that people were prepared and ready for this.
Okay, but tourists definitely are not ready for this. Now, as someone who's lived through a tsunami and an evacuation, what would be your biggest piece of advice?
My biggest piece of advice, be prepared and don't be stupid. If you feel shaking, get to high ground. And even if you don't feel shaking, if the alarms start to blare, get to higher ground. There were several videos, and ABC News interviewed a few people who had decided to stay at the water yesterday. It's a terrible idea. Do not go to the water to see what's happening, because there's a very good chance you won't make it out alive.
All right. Midday executive producer, quasi-tsunami expert, Andy Cupp. Thanks for doing that for us, Andy.
Yep.
But we're going to check your traffic right now. Traffic and weather. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Verl, let's get the latest on this emergency traffic situation.
Well, things are moving along a little bit better in Morgan County on eastbound I-84 between Morgan and Croydon, as that traffic is down still just to one lane. We are seeing some vehicles move a little bit more quickly, so there's a chance that second lane is open. But for right now, we know for sure that one lane is still closed as they're working to clean up an earlier crash. In Salt Lake County, we've got a crash blocking the California Avenue exit of I-215 northbound. That's causing delays starting at about the 201 freeway all the way up past the California Avenue exit. And then we're starting to see some typical afternoon drive traffic slowdowns southbound I-15 right around the 215 South interchange. Common Spirit hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advanced healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness. Verl Johansson in the KSL Traffic Center.
You probably saved my life.
Every single day, Soda Weight Loss is helping people let go of the weight and keep it off.
I mean, I was 30 pounds overweight, and I went in, and the doctor said, you need to change your diet.
Get help and get started with Soda Weight Loss.
Got off my blood pressure medicine and my cholesterol medicine, and that is amazing to me.
I went from a 16, 18 down to a size 4 now. So that is amazing. It makes you feel so good.
Splash into summer savings right now with Soda's lowest prices of the the year.
No injections, no pills, no hunger.
I would recommend soda because it's sustainable. This is lifetime change.
I let go of 50 pounds. It felt unreal.
We're the #1 weight loss company in America for client satisfaction and results. And with our incredible summer savings, what are you waiting for?
Get help. Get results at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Visit the contest page on KSLNewsRadio.com. This week, win tickets to Catch the Beach Boys, part of the Deer Valley Music Festival, August 1st and 2nd. Don't miss timeless hits from the Beach Boys, like Good Vibrations and Surfin' USA. Or win tickets to Lagoon. Lagoon, it's what fun is. Plus, win free tickets to an upcoming Real Salt Lake home match. What are you waiting for? Enter now. Text the word contest to 57500 or go to KSLNewsRadio.com/contests.
Back to school is on the brain. That means new notebooks, pencils, new everything. And while the kids are getting ready to get book smart, it's time for you to save smart with Straight Talk Wireless. Switch now and get a free Moto G 2025 with 5G when you activate select plans. Now that's a smart call. Get Straight Talk covered by Verizon's 5G network. Available at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Offer valid through 10/19/25. Taxes and fees apply. Purchase of Gold Unlimited plan or higher required for offer. Must activate the plan in-store at Walmart. Cannot be combined with other offers.
William is one of millions of Americans who uses GoodRx to save on the cost of their prescriptions.
My oldest daughter, Camilla, 2 days old, she had to have open heart surgery. All of a sudden, she's on 5 different medications. It adds up at the end of the month. Me and the pharmacist got so tight. She said, GoodRx save you a lot of money. Saving that extra $200 to $300 a month. We're able to do all these extra activities, so it puts less stress on our household, and it puts less stress on our pockets.
Download the free app or visit GoodRx.com and start saving today. GoodRx user compensated for their time. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance.
Selling or buying a home, you're losing a lot of money if you're not using the Bank Buster loan. This is Rod with the Save Right Realtor team at Realty Path. Nothing compares to the Bank Buster loan. Home sellers, you get a quicker sell and a higher net price. How? The buyer of your home gets a rate as low as 4.75% with a payment that saves them hundreds every month. The ultra-low Bank Buster rate is not a seller concession that comes out of your pocket. It's all thanks to our affiliate lender, Save Right Mortgage, and their Bank Buster loan. Hire the Save Right Realtors when you sell or buy a home, and you automatically get a preferred lender and a Bank Buster loan. Buyers, you can start with a rate in the ones. Don't lose tens of thousands of your hard-earned money. Sell and buy your home with a Bank Buster loan. Call 801-APPROVE or visit SaveRight.com.
Progressive knows owning a home can be hard, but not always. Like when you're relaxing on your patio, enjoying a nice, quiet evening. So quiet. Except for the sound of the neighbor's party. Which you said you'd go to if you weren't busy. And your quiet night on the patio, that's not exactly busy, is it? Maybe you should just stay inside. At least Progressive's Home Quote Explorer lets you easily compare rates, so shopping for insurance is the easiest part of owning a home. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
If you didn't think skipping breakfast was a big deal, you'd be right. Before. But now, Wendy's has Buck Biscuits. We're talking sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit, bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit, or even the Honey Buddy Chicken Biscuit for just $1 each. Seriously, you can get all 3 if you want. They're just $1, so you'll never skip breakfast again. If you're smart. Breakfast for $1? Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Limit 5 qualifying items per transaction. Not valid in a combo while supplies last.
This is Midday with Maria Shilaos. Despite President Trump's back and forth with the Fed chair and his calls for lowering interest rates, the Fed today decided to keep interest rates the same. I spoke with Robert Spendlove, senior economist at Zions Bank, to get his take on the decision.
Well, the biggest story out of this Fed meeting is that dissension of 2 of the Fed governors. We have governors dissent all the time, but it's usually just one. But it's been 30 years since we've seen 2 Fed governors dissent. So we're starting to see some cracks emerge within the Fed about their interest rate path.
So how is this really impacting folks? I know for someone like me who wants to refinance a second mortgage, I've just kind of been in a wait-and-see mode. But overall, how does it affect people?
Well, so the Fed really only controls very short-term interest rates. And, in fact, the rate we're talking about is called the Fed funds rate, and it's just the overnight rate that banks charge to maintain liquidity. But, when you get into the longer-term interest rates, like to buy a home or to buy a car or for credit cards, that's much more impacted by the overall economy and the kind of the health of the federal government. And we've seen, even when the Fed was cutting short-term rates last fall, we saw those longer-term rates go up. And so that's kind of been the struggles. We have President Trump, really leaning on Jerome Powell and on the Fed to drop rates. But that won't necessarily have an impact on those longer-term interest rates.
So remind us, didn't the Fed say earlier in the year they plan to cut rates a couple of times before the end of the year? What do you foresee happening?
Yeah, so the Fed has indicated in their most recent forecast, the Fed said they're going to drop rates 2 more times this year. They haven't specifically said, at which meetings, but the markets kind of think it's going to be in September and November when they drop those rates again. But then they've also said we will be data dependent. So they want to see what inflation looks like. They want to see what employment looks like. And if those continue to operate the way we want them to, then the Fed will have some ability to drop that rate. But Jerome Powell is nervous that we're going to see elevated inflation because of the tariffs. And so that's why he's been holding back.
Nothing dramatic happening in the markets as a result of this. Sounds like they weren't too surprised.
Yeah, the markets kind of anticipated this. The Fed has been really good about kind of messaging this. But now the big question is, will the Fed follow through? Will the Fed start to drop? And what does it mean that we're seeing these dissents from some of the Fed governors?
That was Robert Spendlove, senior economist at Zions Bank, on the Fed's decision to not lower interest rates today. More and more churches have been leaning into online influencers, and now the Catholic Church is doing it too. The Pope welcoming what are being called digital missionaries to the Vatican. Start Here host Brad Milkey explains.
Jesus told his followers, cast your nets. Maybe he should have said your internets. Yesterday, the new Catholic Pope, Pope Leo XIV, made a special appearance at St. Peter's Basilica, where the Vatican had invited, wait for it, influencers, Catholic digital natives who post content on TikTok and Instagram. Leo was greeted like a rock star, and he seemed into it. He shook hands along the aisles where all these content creators had gathered, phones out, of course, and yes, he posed for selfies. It's become apparent recently that under Leo, the Vatican plans to lean into the digital ecosystem. He's consistently talking about AI, and this event was part of a week-long conference in Rome dedicated to so-called digital missionaries, and there are lots of them.
What's happening, guys? Father Vinny here. We're here in Vatican City.
This is Vince Carrasco from Texas wearing his full capuchin robes. He's a monk, but he's also a musician and a podcast host who's embraced social media. Another attendee from Portugal, Guilherme Peixoto, became famous as a priest/DJ. What's interesting is, to lots of other Christian denominations, this is quaint stuff. Many evangelical churches, in particular, have been harnessing the power of video content for decades. They're quick to hop on trends. Their social media teams know the current TikTok dance. Folks at the Vatican are attempting to catch up. The numbers aren't quite there, but they're trying. A seminarian named Bernardo has been giving behind-the-scenes tours.
So in our seminary, we have a dog. His name is Theo, and his birthday is this week.
So what was Pope Leo's advice? Well, he said, it's good to share your faith. That's what we do. It's good to share stuff about yourself, as long as it's authentic.
This is a challenge that we must face, reflecting on the authenticity of our witness, on our ability to listen and speak.
Listening, he said, is going to be the key. This is not about building a brand. This is not about making money. Whatever your medium of choice, real social networks are about true connection.
We have a duty to work together, to develop a way of thinking, to develop a language of our time that gives voice to love.
In fact, at another event, a Jesuit priest paused his presentation and challenged people in the room to turn and speak to the person next to them for 10 minutes at a time, which to many digital natives in this moment might feel like purgatory.
Interesting, mixing religion with social media and influencers, but of course we mix everything with social media and influencers.